critical condition. Again, so we're on the 1500 block of Baltimore Street where police responded to a shooting call. When they arrived, they found one man shot who was taken to Regional 1 Hospital and is now in critical condition. This is the preliminary information that police have released, but they say that this investigation is still ongoing. Reporting from Orange Mountain, I'm Stephanie Douglas, Action News 5.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 digital desk. I want to bring in our friend from the Daily Memphian, Sam Hardiman, the government and politics reporter for the Daily Memphian. He's got a couple of stories regarding XAI and these gas turbines, that are there on site. Sam, good morning to you. Tell us about these articles and the latest with XAI. They are in the news nonstop in some form or fashion. And tell us about the articles that you're diving into. Good morning.
Yeah, absolutely. Good morning, Andrew. I hope you can hear me okay. I'm trying a new little sound situation as well.
Yeah, all good.
Awesome. Sweet. So last week at the Daily Memphian, we reported on XAI's plans to make the gas turbines, which it has been running at its Southwest Memphis supercomputer for months, almost a year, maybe a little less than a year, but for quite some time. Their plan is they made an application, the Memphis and Shelby, the Shelby County Health Department, for an air emissions permit. And what an air emissions permit is certain machines that emit certain types of chemicals that can be harmful to humans, to nature, et cetera, the environment. They need what is known as a Title V operating permit. And so XAI has been operating these turbines without such a permit since it arrived in Memphis on what is so-called an emergency basis. And, you know, that is obviously, those turbines have sparked concern from folks who are saying, well, this pollution, this emissions from these turbines is harming neighboring communities. And, you know, the Southern Environmental Law Center, which is a legal group that, you know, really is a pain in the side of industry, of the Tennessee Valley Authority and others, you know, fighting for, you know, a cleaner environment, has argued that these turbines should have had a permit the entire time. And now they're looking at it and saying, well, this is going to add further emissions to a place that's already burdened. And, you know, Memphis and Shelby County and the Memphis metro area does not have a great situation in terms of emissions overall. And that's not just from XAI, that's from all the heavy industry that's here. And so this is XAI, because of its, you know, one of its founders, Elon Musk, is always in the news. And so everything they do is really under a microscope.
Gotcha. And I know that there was environmental concerns with this that you just mentioned. Also, environmental concerns about the gray water treatment plant that is upcoming with the Memphis City Council later this week. Any news on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's back before the city council tomorrow. You know, to sell, the Memphis City Council will be voting to sell city-owned land, which is land that's attached to the city's TE Maxton wastewater treatment plant. Okay, this is, you know, 13 acres that is largely, you know, what you would call wetland woodland right now. Like, you literally drive by on Riverport Road, Paul R. Lowry Road, the same road, and you just see kind of trees and mud, and that's where this gray water plant would go. And so, while there are concerns about the gray water plant has the potential to save billions of gallons of water over the life of it. And so, and when we're talking billions of gallons of fresh water that you and I drink, Andrew, okay? And so here is a situation where XAI is essentially saying we are going to forego fresh water using the Memphis Sand Aquifer to cool our supercomputer. And we are going to build this plant at really our cost, and we're going to let others use it. The Tennessee Valley Authority, which is the largest water user, not XAI, the Tennessee Valley Authority, and its Allen Combined Cycle Plant is the largest water user in Memphis Light Gas and Water's customer base, okay? And so they would use this plant, and they would start using wastewater that is recycled to cool that Allen Combined Cycle Plant, that natural gas plant down in Southwest Memphis. That's a big deal. That's a big amount of water that's getting saved, and that's a lot of water that's not being taken out of the aquifer. And so environmental groups such as Protect Our Aquifer or Memphis Community Against Pollution, they support the gray water plant. What they haven't supported is they have not liked how XAI has gone about things in Memphis, and they have really broad suspicion of the turbines that I just mentioned. Okay, so on one hand, you have turbines that are bringing more emissions to Memphis and powering XAI. Okay, and then on the other hand, you have XAI's plans to build a gray water plant to save billions of gallons of water over the life of XAI's time here in Memphis. So, and what's coming up tomorrow is the city has been working on, or should be, there's been pressure on the city to work on a reversion clause. Let's say XAI goes out of business and they've already built this plant. It would then give the city of Memphis the opportunity to either buy or assume control over this gray water plant. And so that's what could come up tomorrow. But we're talking about two different things here. We're talking about more emissions from gas turbines and the saving of fresh water in the gray water plant.
Sure. I get that there's two different entities and two different topics that we're talking about with regards to XAI. It's interesting though, because environmental groups, my understanding, what we've reported is that they love the idea of this gray water treatment plant, whereas the gas turbines they don't. But correct me if I'm wrong. Natural gas, I thought that was much more environmentally friendly. I mean, is it not?
I mean, environmentally friendly compared to other things, right, Andrew? Like, it is environmentally friendly compared to burning coal, okay? And so, like, that's the frame of reference that, like, people, and not just you, I think everyone in our society, like, people have their lives, and they're not thinking about, like, what actually is emissions here, but natural gas has harmful emissions for people, for the environment, for nature, etc. It just has a lot less, depending on how you're burning it, than coal does. And before there was the Allen Combined Cycle Plant down in Southwest Memphis, it replaced the Allen Fossil Plant, which burned tons and tons of coal for decades, okay? And there are still coal ash ponds that TVA is remediating, as we speak, taking that coal ash away from those ponds and putting it at the Shelby landfill on Shelby Job, the Republic Services landfill. And so, like, that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about, both fuels emit. One emits more. That's how I would describe it for you. Yes, natural gas is healthier than coal. It has far more emissions than, say, solar, say the battery storage that XAI uses down at the plant, say nuclear, right? So, and nuclear obviously has its own risks, but like that's what we're talking about here. Is it's on a spectrum, right? And natural gas is certainly, burns less than coal.
And according to your article, the reason they have these turbines there is because they don't want to take from MLGW because right now the capacity's not there, right?
That's what they're saying, okay? And as you go into the second article, and there are two articles that we're talking about today, you can both read them on dailymethane.com. XAI and MLGW have already partnered to build a substation, a brand new substation, essentially, to serve the first phase of the project, which is 150 megawatts of power. That's a ton of power. Okay, that's thousands of homes. Okay, the second phase of the project, which is built, is going to rely on these turbines because MLG&W and XAI are planning to build a second substation. And if that substation is not completed fast enough, because XAI only has 1 year to operate these turbines without the air emissions permit they're seeking, and so that's why XAI is applying for this permit. Okay, because if they don't build this substation and get the second substation online fast enough with Memphis Light Gas and Water, okay, and there's a gap, say, between that when that substation is ready and the TVA board approves XAI adding more load to the grid, which they still need to do. Okay, if there's a gap between that and the turbines being allowed to operate without an air emissions permit, that's a bad business situation for XAI. So what's really happening here is XAI is sort of hedging its bets, right? It's saying we're going to need to operate these turbines permanently. At the same time, XAI is planning not to use these turbines permanently because it wants to be fully on Memphis Light Gas and Water's grid. And so that's what's happening. And MLG&W had some pushback on these plans from XAI and essentially said, like, they're making a business decision. And that's why they're applying for for the turbines. It's not because we lack power to serve.
Gotcha. Sam Hardiman just explaining it all very succinctly to all of us here on the Action News 5 digital desk. Anything else before we let you go, Sam? Very fascinating. Something that's always in the news all the time is XAI. Anything else we haven't touched on you feel is important?
No, I don't. I appreciate people reading. I appreciate people watching. I hope everyone stays warm these next couple of days. I wouldn't be surprised if you were asked to conserve some electricity at some point these next couple of days. That's because there's going to be a lot of cold, and that will be just FYI.
Okay, Sam Hardiman improving his look on the Action News 5 digital desk. We appreciate it, Sam. Thanks for the upgrade, and always appreciate the knowledge coming out from downtown and the local politics scene and government scene. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Andrew. Yeah, plug it in a ring light really hard.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Action News 5 digital desk. Well, I want to tell you about a brand new NBC drama that is premiering in just a few days. It's called Grosse Pointe Garden Society, and it follows 4 members of a suburban garden club who find themselves intertwined by scandal, mischief, and a shared secret, which is a murder that no one wants to really talk about. I'm joined right now on the Action News 5 digital desk by a couple of stars of Grosse Pointe Garden Society, Ben Rappaport and Anna Sophia Robb, joining us on the digital desk. Thank you so much for joining us, both of you. Tell us what the audience should prepare for. Anna, let's start with you. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having us. We're so excited for the show to premiere next Sunday. And I think what's really fun about Grosse Pointe Garden Society is I remember when I read the pilot for the first time, I just wanted to read the next episode. I couldn't wait to find out what happens with each character and who gets murdered and how and why. And it's a really gorgeous combination of drama and comedy and mystery and satire and romance, and it sort of has it all. And I think I know I can't wait to watch the episodes, and I'm in it, so I hope everyone else feels the same.
All right. Well, thank you, Anna. And Ben, over to you. I mean, what attracted you to this show?
I think it all starts with our genius creators, Jenna Bans and Bill Krebs. Every script is a real page turner, and every time I get a new script, I just can't wait for the next one. Truly, like it's the most addictive thing I've ever read. And like Anna Sophia said, I'm in it, and I'm like dying to watch this thing. So that, and then also it's just we have an incredible ensemble of people on this show, cast, crew. I've never felt so lucky to be a part of something so exciting, and I love going to work every day.
So both of you, very accomplished actors. Anna Sophia, let me ask you, I mean, what do you think will bring people back each and every week to see the latest episode? And how would you describe this show to someone that's just, walking along the street wanting to know more about what your latest show's all about?
I think what will make it fun, I think people will probably come for the mystery because there's a cliffhanger, but I think they'll stay partly for the mystery to find out what happens. But I think what ends up happening is you get really invested in each of the the characters' lives. And I think with ensemble shows, you know, there's always one storyline that people gravitate towards. But in our show, there's so many interesting storylines. And as the season unfolds, new characters are introduced, and it really fills out the full world of Grosse Pointe. And so you meet these four characters at the beginning, and then you start to travel down each path and get to know how everyone is connected into this sort of mysterious and like spiky web. And I think that's why people will stay, because they're interesting people, the writing is fun, and I think we have a lot of terrific actors. And I know, like, I look forward to reading, like Ben was saying, reading each episode. And so I feel like if we're this close and we get so excited about it, I just have a feeling I think people will want to jump in and go on the ride with us.
I like that. I like that a lot. Ben, over to you. From your perspective, what was the most challenging aspect of being on set for this?
I think, funny enough, the most challenging aspect is the garden set itself. We were talking a little earlier about this. We have this gorgeous real garden that's in the back lot of the studio that we film at in Atlanta, but there is an airport right next door. So in terms of when we're rolling through takes, will often be interrupted by a private plane flying overhead. So that's the biggest challenge, is sort of the delays we encounter with that. But I mean, if that's the biggest challenge, I'll take that over any other challenges, honestly.
I know we have it pretty good on this show. It's like we kind of pinch ourselves every single day because all of us have been working for a long time, and it's just one of those sets where we all come to work and the crew is amazing and our showrunners are awesome and we have fabulous directors, and we're just all having such a good time. And I look forward to watching each episode because, you know, we have different storylines, and so every time a different person comes on screen, I'm like, oh my gosh, how did their scene turn out? Like, what's happening in that section of Grosse Pointe Garden Society? And that doesn't happen with every job.
Also, you can't fake the kind of chemistry that I think is happening between all the cast members, and that stuff really bleeds through the screen. And I think audiences can really tell when it's real and when it's not. And this is real. This is a special thing we have going.
All right, Ben Rappaport and Anna Sophia Robb, we really appreciate both of you coming on the Digital Desk to talk about Grosse Pointe Garden Society. Looking forward to it, February 23rd on NBC. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I want to show you this. This is a flyer promoting a high school senior. She's also a high school athlete and entrepreneur. I'm talking about Ramaya Moore, and she has started something that's called Sugarland Treats. And she reached out to me, and I said, you know what? It would be great to have you on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. And ta-da, there she is. Joining us on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. So, Ramaya, tell our audience about you. I know you're a high school senior. Tell us where you go to school and this idea of being an entrepreneur so young, and tell me about Sugarland Treats. Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Ramaya Moore. I attend Memphis Business Academy. I'm a senior. I'm also the president for SGA in the senior class. How I started my business. Actually, I lost my daddy when I was in 5th grade, so that motivated me to start my business because I never wanted to work with nobody. Me and him always be in the kitchen. So this what made me start a Sugarland Treat.
Okay, and tell me where you go to school again. I didn't hear that.
Memphis Business Academy.
Memphis Business Academy. So tell me about Sugarland Treats. What's it about and why Sugarland Treats?
Sugarland treats about starting treats in the community to make people feel love. I sell chocolate covered strawberries, pineapples, and many more.
Okay, all right. And so tell me where you got this drive. I mean, many people are just sometimes overwhelmed with classes, going to school, and being a high school athlete as well. What was this drive to be an entrepreneur too?
What drive me to be an entrepreneur, like I said, I didn't want to work for nobody. Um, I just want to be my own boss. I don't like people telling me nothing, like what to do. I just motivated to like be my own boss, make my own treat, show my talent, the things I like to do, make something that like my talent. So why not show my talent, my gift that I have?
Okay, and how's business going so far?
So far, business going good. I had a lot of big orders for Valentine's Day, and I also had an event on Valentine's Day.
Okay, all right. And so, what are your next steps? Are you going to college? What are you doing?
My next step after high school, I will be attending Southwest for culinary arts, then transferring to University of Memphis to finish up.
Okay, excellent. And once again, this is the flyer where there you are, your smiling face at Sugarland Treats there, and talking a little bit about you and what you do. And if someone wants to purchase something from your business or reach out, what's the best way to do that?
You can contact my number. Um, Also, my Instagram is sugar.landtreats. My number is 901-238-4947.
Okay, all right. Ramaya, I appreciate you joining us on the digital desk. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Action News 5 Digital Desk. Our next guest kind of redefines what it takes to volunteer and fundraise, and he does it each and every year for the Alzheimer's Association. I'm joined now by Wes Milligan on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. And Wes has just received the National Volunteer of the Year Award at the National Alzheimer's Association Community Leaders Summit. Congratulations to you, Wes. I gotta say, you have been no stranger to anyone who follows the Alzheimer's Association here in Memphis and the Mid-South. You consistently make sure that you are front and center when it comes to fundraising and when it comes to volunteering. How do you do it? Good morning.
Well, good morning to you, Andrew. I just want to say thank you again for having me here today. And I'm extremely honored to receive the Volunteer of the Year Award by the National Alzheimer's Association. And, I've been a volunteer for nearly 20 years, and through that time, this has become a passion of mine. And through that, of course, the fundraising and growing awareness. And I don't know, it's part of who I am. I mean, this is my uniform of hope right here. People laugh all the time, like, hey, you're the end ALZ guy. And I've grown that into a brand and really just trying to grow awareness that Alzheimer's is a heart-wrenching disease and we need to stop it. And whether you have a connection or not, it's something that we should all focus on trying to end as soon as possible. So Again, I'm super honored. I'm still in shock about it, quite honestly, that it happened, but it was a great honor on January 23rd to receive the Harry Johns Award for Volunteer Excellence.
Yeah, I mean, you do so much, and I kind of want to go into your passion and your commitment
Sure.
for fundraising for the Alzheimer's Association. Where does that come from? That passion specifically for the Alzheimer's
Sure.
Association?
So when I was a journalist in Lafayette, Louisiana, many years ago, I was asked to write a story about Alzheimer's. I didn't know much about the disease then, but after researching it, I felt the best way to tell the story was to interview people who were suffering from it and the caregivers who were with them every step of the way. The experience was, like I talked before, was heart-wrenching. Those I interviewed were forgetting their loved ones and most cherished memories, everything they were as each day went by. The toll on their caregivers was immense too. Yeah, it's just not fair. So on my 40th birthday in 2019, I pledged to raise $200,000 for the Alzheimer's Association in 10 years. We crushed that goal in just 3.5. And now my pledge is to raise $1 million by my 50th birthday. So, matter of fact, just a couple days ago, we just reached the $600,000 mark. So we got a little ways to go. But this fundraising and this drive towards this milestone has really fueled me because I've met so many people in the Memphis community and across the nation that are suffering from Alzheimer's, that have caregivers that are with them every step of the way and hurting. I mean, it's not fair, Andrew. And I know that many people are looking for hope, and we have that hope today with all the things that are happening in the research field.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've told you in the past. We've talked a lot, Wes. My dad has had Alzheimer's now for quite a number of years. It is devastating to so many different families out there, particularly the caregivers. His wife is dealing with that now. But I want to get to what you just mentioned. Some of the breakthroughs, some of the updates on the research regarding dementia and Alzheimer's. Would love to hear an update on that.
Sure. Well, as you know, Andrew, unfortunately, the number of people living with Alzheimer's and dementia is growing, which is why research and treatments are so important. In fact, in Tennessee alone, I think there are 129,000 people living with the disease. So the last time we spoke, there are now 2 FDA-approved treatments available for those in the early stages of Alzheimer's and dementia. These 2 treatments demonstrate that removing beta amyloid from the brain reduces cognitive and functional decline in people living with early Alzheimer's. Now, the key here is early stages, which is why early detection and diagnosis of Alzheimer's is more important than ever. When I was at the summit you mentioned earlier, I learned that we are less than 2 years away from a blood test that can detect Alzheimer's, which is huge. I mean, and preliminary results show that it's over 95% effective when compared to PET scans, which is what we use today. A blood test will be easier and far cheaper than those scans, which means we can offer it to more in the community and give treatment faster to those who need it. But there's no reason to wait for that blood test in 2 years. If you or a family member feels something is wrong, I always encourage you to speak to a doctor as soon as possible or call the Alzheimer's Association hotline.
In addition to supporting you and your quest to get $1 million by age 50, Wes, how else can people support the Alzheimer's Association?
Well, obviously, you can donate through alz.org, but I tell people in the community, people have noticed lately that I have aligned my passion, with the Alzheimer's Association, and that is also bourbon, actually, and people joke about it. But we actually, a group of us called Bourbon Barrels, is a team of volunteers who pick bourbon and whiskey barrels to raise money to end Alzheimer's. Here's actually one of those today. You can find at Joe's Wine and Liquors, where just look for the sticker. And proceeds from each one of those bottles actually go back to the Alzheimer's Association. We also have one here over my shoulder. We have a George Stickle and a Starlight Cigar Batch. You can find those at Gaslight Wine and Spirits and Buster's Liquors at their East location. These are just incremental ways for us to raise awareness by seeing that sticker that talks about ending Alzheimer's, as well as having much needed proceeds and funds go back to that research so we can have those things like that blood test. We can have more FDA approved drugs. I mean, Andrew, this really is the era of treatment and hope for the Alzheimer's. 2 years ago, I don't know if I could say that and I would see a cure in my lifetime, but now with all the things that are happening in research and funds, we will end Alzheimer's in my lifetime. I know it. And at the summit, the theme was the power of us, the power of now. And really that message of now has just permeated throughout the Alzheimer's Association, all the volunteers, because we see the progress, we see that happening. But we can only do that by continuing to have funds going towards that research, going towards that pipeline. So if you can help, you can search me on the internet and find it. We have a link to donate. You can go purchase those products. You can do a number of different things, but keep telling your story. That's why I wear this shirt. I mean, it's part of who I am, but it also can create a conversation maybe with someone who is grieving, someone who may be a future volunteer, someone who may be that donor that pushes forward the groundbreaking research that finally finds a cure for Alzheimer's. I mean, we all must show the world we're in this together. So wear your shirt, donate, and give us hope.
Wes Milligan, always appreciate your passion and your positivity with everything, but certainly with the Alzheimer's Association and all that you do. Thanks so very much. Congratulations once again on a very well-deserved honor. We appreciate all the hard work, Wes. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew. You're the man. I always appreciate you having me on and talking about Alzheimer's and sharing the story and growing awareness. Have a great day.
I appreciate it. Thank you. A choking dog can be a scary situation for any pet owner to deal with. According to the Humane Society, more than 200,000 pets each year are seen by vets because of choking incidents. So let's talk a little bit more about this issue and some of the best ways to handle it so that you and your pet are just fine. I'm joined right now by Dr. Krista Wells, Medical Director of Veterinarian Emergency Group, to discuss this issue. Dr. Wells, good morning to you. This type of situation is more common than I thought. Tell me, have you seen these kind of situations in your practice, and what do you tell your patients? Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me. So I think it's much more common than you would expect. If you think about choking events, they don't have to always end in a life-threatening emergency, but for a pet to choke even for a couple of seconds on something small and then spit it up is still a choking event. So we get this pretty frequently at Veterinary Emergency Group. We pride ourselves on always calling and speaking with a doctor. So we get this call a lot where owners call and say, hey, my pet's choking on something. What can I do? So I think it's actually much more common than a lot of people would think.
Gotcha. And so when that happens, is there kind of a basic guideline of what to do with your dog? I know humans, we do the Heimlich maneuver. Is there a similar situation with our dog? Or I guess, does it happen to a cat often? I'm not sure.
I would say less often than a cat. They're a little bit more discreet on what they tend to swallow. They really like small stringed things like that, so they don't tend to choke on them. But with a dog, you'd think of them swallowing more balls or treats. So you can try Heimlich maneuvers, similar like you would do in a person. It's actually a very similar maneuver. You make a ball with your fist, you put that underneath their rib cage, kind of hold them upright and thrust upwards in a way to try to get them to bring that object out. You can try to remove something from their mouth if you can see it. We warn owners because often dogs are very stressed out in this, as you could imagine. So they can accidentally bite you. So if you can see it, you can try to grab it out pretty easily. If you think that it's pretty far in the back of their throat, we would recommend probably just trying to get to an emergency facility because you may inadvertently push it further in. So it's case by case, but if you can see it pretty easily, we'd recommend trying to grab it.
Gotcha. So I guess the first thing is a pet owner should, if they see that their dog is in distress and maybe perhaps choking on something, to immediately go to the mouth and see if you can pull something out. Is that right?
I would agree. I would always look and see if there's something physically visible in the front of their mouth. If you can't see anything, that's probably when you're going to have to head towards an emergency facility, especially if they don't seem to be in too much distress. But yes, if you can see it, just like in a kid, that'd be your first move for sure.
So, at what point do you think it's time to go to an emergency vet or, make that trip?
I think it's case by case, and it's always going to be difficult to know what a choking event may turn into. It may be super simple, and your pet ultimately kind of hacks once or twice and vomits something up. But if they seem to be distressed in a way where maybe they're having trouble breathing or they just seem to still be coughing or hacking on an object, I would definitely recommend heading to an emergency vet. If your pet has been in a choking event for more than a couple of seconds to a couple of minutes and you think it passes, we'd still recommend you go in. Often dogs will swallow those objects and they'll still need to be removed via endoscopy. Dogs can get things stuck in their esophagus that still needs to be removed. So we'd oftentimes say you're better off heading to an emergency vet, even if you think things have passed, but definitely if you think your pet is distressed or having trouble breathing.
So we have thousands of people that watch us each and every morning here on the Digital Desk, Doctor. If there's a certain bullet point or checklist that we can give everyone if they see their dog perhaps choking, maybe 2 or 3 points, what would you tell them?
Yeah, I'd say first try to check the mouth and see if it's simply removed. Second, if it seems like they are actively choking, you can definitely try Heimlich maneuver. If all of that fails, you should hopefully already know where your closest emergency vet is. Grab a buddy and head that way.
Okay, Dr. Krista Wells, Veterinary Emergency Group. We appreciate you taking time to tell us about this very important message out there for all those pet owners. We thank you very much for this information. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. There is different warnings and different signs and symptoms when it comes to a heart attack for men and women. Let's bring in Dr. Anna Yang. She is a professional physician at Regional One Health, because we know, Dr. Yang, that the CDC says every 40 seconds someone has a heart attack in the U.S. So can you first describe what actually a heart attack is? What does that mean?
Sure. So thanks again for having me. Heart attacks are very scary things. We hear about them all the time. We hear people die of them, and sometimes it's kind of a mystery as to what it actually is. So let's see if I can make this simple. So basically, in a heart attack, you suddenly don't have enough blood flow to part of your heart. And if that happens for long enough, your heart tissue actually starts to die. And if enough of your heart tissue dies, then your heart may never function normally again. If a large portion of your heart starts to die and doesn't function anymore, some people can even die suddenly. But not all heart attacks end in death. But basically what's happening is that there's suddenly not enough blood flow for the heart to function correctly.
So I know that the signs and symptoms for a heart attack in men are different than women. Can you explain maybe some of the the big signs and symptoms for both genders?
Sure. So classically, heart attacks present with chest pain, usually in the middle of your chest, and it usually feels like a pressure type feeling, like the classically described elephant sitting on your chest, just a big pressure squeezing feeling. It's not necessarily like the way you would imagine pain to be, like a sharp stabbing type thing. This kind of chest pressure or pain can also come with shortness of breath, some nausea, maybe your heart's racing a little bit, maybe you get sweaty all of a sudden. And this chest pain or pressure can also radiate or kind of shoot towards your arm or your jaw or potentially your neck. Now, not everybody, though, has the classic signs of heart attacks. Sometimes heart attacks more commonly in women, or more commonly in people with diabetes, or more common in older people. Sometimes heart attacks don't have those exact symptoms. Sometimes it's just a feeling of nausea, a little bit of restlessness, just suddenly feeling tired all over. So not every single heart attack presents as the classic kind of chest pain symptoms. And men and women can all have these abnormal or atypical symptoms, but it does seem to happen more often in women and those with diabetes and other medical conditions.
I know that there's something called a silent heart attack, and I'm trying to figure out exactly what that is in relation to just your, I guess, typical heart attack.
Sure. So it's referring to the symptoms. So your typical heart attack, you have all the, symptoms of it. You don't feel good. You have potentially chest pain or the, nausea or the sweating or the shortness of breath or the heart palpitations or the weakness. A silent heart attack is just, you don't have those same symptoms. You might have a little bit of a vague feeling of, being unwell or a little bit of just, mild symptoms. But you can have these symptoms and be actually having a heart attack and not know it. And that's why they call it silent. So that, in the future, when you're getting evaluated by a doctor for something else, you find out later on that, oh, you actually did have a heart attack at some point and didn't recognize it or didn't know it.
If you think you're having a heart attack and you feel like you might, what should you do?
So the most important thing really is to get seen and get your risk factors and things evaluated before you have a heart attack at all. So go to your regular doctor, get your regular checkups. If you have risk factors like high blood pressure or diabetes or high cholesterol, or you're smoking and trying to quit, your doctor can help you with all of these things to try to mitigate your risk factors and decrease the chances of you having a heart attack at all. But if you really think you're having a heart attack, definitely get yourself to the emergency room right away. Because if you're not having enough blood flow to your heart, that needs to be fixed as soon as possible, whether it's by medication or procedure or a combination of both. That blood flow to your heart needs to be restored as soon as possible to try to preserve as much of your heart function in the future as possible. So if you really think you're having a heart attack, go straight to the emergency room.
What about prevention? Let's talk a little bit about prevention, just news you can use right now for the thousands of people who are watching, Anna.
Sure. So prevention is the most important thing. There are a lot of different risk factors for having heart attacks, and a lot of them you can't control, and there's no point worrying about those things. Things, like normal aging, family history, and things like that, you have no control over. So there's no need to even worry about that. Now, the things you can control, though, making sure you're getting enough sleep, making sure your stress is managed as much as possible, making sure you're eating a healthy, nutritious diet, and then all those risk factors, medical conditions that I talked about before, potentially high blood pressure, diabetes and cholesterol, making sure you get those checked and controlled and managed as much as possible. And you may not even feel those symptoms. A lot of people have high blood pressure without having any idea of it. And the only way to know is to check your blood pressure and go to your doctor, who can then, potentially guide you on if you need medication for this, or if there are things that you can do with lifestyle changes, improving what you're doing on a day-to-day basis before, having to start medication. And then, of course, if you're smoking, that's a big one too. If you can quit smoking, that would make a huge difference in preventing heart attacks.
So anything else before we let you go, Anna? These are great tips and just great useful information for our audience.
Yeah, I mean, the most important thing is to see your doctor regularly. If you don't have a regular doctor, make sure you go to one so that they can screen you for these things. And if you're having signs and symptoms, please don't ignore them. If you think you may be having something dangerous or something major going on, the sooner the better. So, don't wait days later to get yourself medical care. If you really think you're having a problem, go seek help immediately.
Okay, Dr. Anna Yang with Regional One Health. We appreciate your time on the digital desk explaining exactly what a heart attack is, ways to prevent it, the signs and symptoms, and everything in between. Anna, thank you.
Thank you.
Hopefully you're having a great start to your Tuesday throughout the Mid-South. I'm meteorologist Eric Brill in for meteorologist Patrick Ellis. We are expecting dry weather conditions to be around during the AM hours and even into the early PM hours. Notice by 2 p.m., 40 degrees, but not expecting any showers. It really is out there about 3 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That is when those showers will start to approach the Mid-South and eventually move through the Mid-South here, especially between 10 p.m. on Tuesday night into 4 a.m. on Wednesday morning. 41 degrees, the expected high temperature for Memphis, 41 for Selmer, 36 for Brownsville, and 33 for Ripley, Tennessee. Ripley, Mississippi looking to top off at 43, 41 in Corinth, 43 in Oxford, 43 in Clarksdale, and 41 in Tunica. Mostly cloudy skies, dry weather conditions expected really throughout the day here in northern Mississippi. Finally, northeast Arkansas expecting temperatures to have a little bit of a range here, a little bit colder to the north, some lower 30s, while some lower 40s will make a reappearance into Phillips County for Helena, West Helena under mostly cloudy skies. Now, down the road, we do have the winter storm warnings and the winter weather advisories that are in place for all the Mid-South here. Typically, winter storm warnings mean a little more snow, winter weather advisories a little less snow, and I think that's going to be the case here as far as who's within the warning and who's in the advisory. Those areas in pink are in the warning, and everybody else is within the advised areas. These are set to expire here on Wednesday morning, whether it be at 6 a.m. or noon, and if you do get the notifications from the First Alert Weather app here, you will be seeing any sort of new updates that do come about here around the Mid-South, whether it be snow accumulations, warnings, advisories, even if it doesn't pertain to this given storm system. Now, the precipitation type here, we do expect a little bit of a mix to get this started, but we are going to see some colder conditions or colder temperatures start to build in as Tuesday evening turns into Wednesday morning. That will result in that snow line dropping itself down to the south, and everybody will be seeing some snow flying around here for Wednesday morning. When can you start to see these showers approach the Mid-South and move through the Mid-South? Into northeast Arkansas between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m., in the heart of the Mid-South between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m., and off to the east here, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. is more your time frame, and the snow shower activity, it will be around here for a few hours, really about a 12-hour span from the time it gets started until the time it comes to a completion. Futurecast data agrees with pretty much everything noted here. Quiet conditions really till about 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and even then, it really is just northeast Arkansas getting in on the snow action and the shower activity. 6 o'clock in the evening, it's possible we might not even have seen snow showers yet for Memphis, but notice it's not really too far to the north where some of those snow showers will start to engulf, including Dyersburg, Blytheville, Brownsville, over into Ripley, and then the deeper we go into the evening and eventually to the overnight hours, the more these showers will start to spread. By midnight, notice 278 from Clarksdale to Batesville, Oxford, even over to Tupelo. The snow showers are falling here, so we're keeping our fingers crossed we won't have to deal with any sort of frozen precipitation as far as freezing rain goes. And I don't really think that's a big threat here for this given winter weather event. By 5 o'clock in the morning, the majority of the Mid-South is going to be dry except closer to the Tennessee River. And by 8 a.m., this is pretty much all said and done. But notice our temperatures. They will be in the upper teens and lower 20s. When can you expect these showers to come to an end? 2 to 5 a.m. in northeast Arkansas, 3 to 6 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday for Shelby County, into Tipton County, Lauderdale County, even down to the south for Tunica, as well as DeSoto and Tate counties. Finally, off to the east, 5 a.m. to 8 a.m., closer to the Tennessee River. Snow totals out of this have adjusted this a little bit, maybe a little less snow, especially along and south of I-40. A little less moisture looks like it will be in play. Up to the north, Dyersburg, Byfield, Alamo, Ripley, 3 to 6 inches. Just south of that for Covington, Wynn, as well as Arlington towards Lakeland, and even into Millington, about 2 to 4 inches. South of that, 1 to 3 inches, including the city of Memphis, Hernando, Olive Branch, Eads, even into Forest City, West Memphis, and Mariana. South of that, a dusting to 2 inches of snow for Helena, West Helena, Clarksdale, as well as Oxford, Batesville, Ripley, Tennessee, and for Tupelo. Behind this, the big thing is going to be your temperatures. It is going to be frigid around the Mid-South on Wednesday, Thursday, and even into Friday. Anything that does fall, it's really going to hang around here for the next few days. 26 for a high on Wednesday, 22 for Thursday, 33 degrees for Friday, and it won't be until Sunday and Monday before we start to return to near average. So if you're a cold weather fan, hey, this is right down your alley, but I'd imagine this is probably even a little extreme for you. There is a 90% chance of showers from Tuesday into Wednesday. We do have that first alert weather day for Wednesday with the winter weather impacts and with those cold conditions as well. Afternoon highs in the middle to lower 20s on Wednesday and Thursday. Isolated showers are possible for Saturday. Not really too excited about that yet. And if I had to pick a day for the weekend, it certainly would be Sunday over Saturday just because it will be warmer. But hey, at least Monday, early next week, does look to be pretty solid with afternoon highs back in the lower 60s.
Okay, welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Well, there is an amazing event coming up this weekend. We're talking about more than 500 students, faculty, and leaders in the HBCU community. They are going to be in downtown Memphis February 20th through the 23rd at the Renaissance Convention Center, and this is expected to be the largest HBCU event in 2025. I got a couple of people to talk more about this here on the Digital Desk. I am joined right now by Michael J. Cleveland and Alatoria Cranford. They are on the Digital Desk this morning. Good morning to you both. So, Alatoria, let's begin with you and tell me about why Memphis was chosen for this big event. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for the introduction. Memphis was chosen as this is our second time going. I think when I was first beginning in higher ed in like 2010, 2012, we were there. So it's just been maybe a decade since we've been to Memphis. So this time we wanted to circle back because we have some thriving institutions in the area like Lane College, Lemoyne Owen, and so forth, and Rust, and all of those are there. So we want to come back to Memphis, bring a little more flavor, a little more bodies from leaderships to students, and just really, showcase our new group of students, what that area serves.
Fantastic. And Michael J., over to you. Tell me, this is several days, more than 500 students. What are you looking most forward to for this event?
I think one of the highlights for this event for me is the Legacy Gala. This is a night where we honor all the astounding alumni and young alumni who have been supporting their institutions. And we also get to honor local individuals from Memphis and the state of Tennessee and nationwide for what they have done for the work for HBCUs. This year, we're honoring the late Bishop Henry Williamson, Dr. Willie Harrington, Dr. Glenda Glover, and Congressman Benny G. Thompson. So excited to present them the Legacy Awards this year.
So back over to you, Tora. Tell me about if someone is attending, because we have thousands of people that watch each and every morning here on the digital desk. If they are attending this event, what is their mindset? What should it be? What should they get ready for? How should they approach this?
So those that are attending, to be open-minded, to be willing to network. The network is extremely strong from the students up to the leadership and the sponsors that we have. I think for the students, which is the part of the greatest aspect for me that I enjoy about the conference, they get to meet other students from other HBCUs that are in leadership roles and doing other things. They get to learn from and collaborate and bring those things back to their campuses to help their campuses thrive. So for our students, we want them to come, be prepared because there's an opportunity for like career fairs and graduate schools as well. So they're not just coming to gather and just say, hey, I met so and so. They're coming to leave with something for professional, personal, and academic development. So for those that are attending, open minded, be willing to say hello. Knowing yourself and knowing what you want to do would be a great aspect, a great starter kit, shall I say.
Gotcha. Michael J., over to you.
So the thing I love to tell everyone is if you have the mind or the mission to support historically black colleges or UNCF, this is the conference from you. Here you are recharged, you're re-energized, you know why the mission is there. As a student who went to college on a full scholarship, conferences such as this led me to where I am now in the field I'm in, and I've met lifelong friends. So if you just have a hunger for the next generation, this is the conference from you. We're so thankful for our sponsors of American Heart Association and so many more who support us. And special thanks to the city of downtown Memphis for their support and helping to get the conference up to par so that we could support the Memphis area and let them know HBCUs are still vibrant, they're thriving, and this conference is where you could come and get a sneak peek to what it means to be an HBCU alum and student.
Well, we look forward to welcoming you both, along with 500 of other students, faculty, and alumni to downtown Memphis in just a few days this weekend. We really appreciate you coming on the Action News 5 digital desk, and enjoy the weekend, enjoy the conference. I know it's going to be a great, great time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Desk, we got Eric Hasseltine, radio voice of the Memphis Grizzlies, joining us now. And Eric, I know the team's on a break, as are you, for the next several days. We enter the All-Star weekend, but everyone wants to know, how's the team doing going into the All-Star break after this trade that sent Marcus Smart packing elsewhere? Good morning.
Good morning. See, this is how much I like you. I'm on vacation and I'm talking to you. What am I doing? Where's my life going?
What are you doing?
I don't know. This is how close to friends we are. The trade was understandable. The Grizzlies have a log jam at that wing position. So Marcus, was not anything but pleasant to be around. But his injury issues with the fingers and then the development, I think, of Jalen Wells really kind of set that ball in motion. The Jake LaRavia trade, same kind of thing. They had already opted not to pick up his next year's option, so he was going to be an unrestricted free agent. So you make moves like that to kind of condense the roster. Gigi Jackson, Vince Williams coming back set that in motion as well. So they had a lot of players at one position. They just decided to move some off. We'll see what happens if Marvin Bagley can get healthy, if that's a piece that maybe can help you somewhere. It's just the things like this happen. So everybody's mood was good. Nobody liked what happened in Los Angeles, but we call those around the team the schedule loss. The Clippers are off for 4 days. You play in Phoenix. It's a tough game. You got to get on a plane. You got to go to LA, get settled in late night, get turnaround, and then you could just see the legs kind of gave out on the Grizzlies. And the Clippers are a good team. They're aggressive defensively, but that's the thing I think most people are concerned about right now heading into the break is not the team's record. 36-18 is fantastic. That's on pace for a 54-55 win year, which puts you probably in a home court situation in the first round. You're not going to be the number 1 seed with that because that'll be Oklahoma City, but you're fighting for 2 with that kind of number, maybe at worst 3 or 4, and you feel pretty good about it. However, when you stack up against the top teams, you haven't beaten Oklahoma City. Against Houston, you're 1-3. Against the Clippers now, you're 0-2. You're 1-1 against Denver. Both of those games without Nikola Jokic. You're going to see them in a really tough back-to-back in April. So good chance, that's going to be a tough one for the Grizzlies. If they win that, they're 2-1. But 1-7 against the upper echelon, and those are the team in the West. Those are the teams the Grizzlies are looking to beat in the playoffs. That has some people concerned. I don't necessarily agree with it. I look at the Thunder came in and the Grizzlies did not play a great basketball game against a team that was very well prepared. They're beating everybody. Against the Clippers, that's the one that kind of concerns me a little bit. The first one where the turnovers down the stretch were really costly. I think the Grizzlies can clean that up in the 2 games against them. They've given up 72 points off turnovers. That's not something that's sustainable to get a victory. And then 2 of the losses to Houston are by a single possession. So I think they're right there. I think there's some things that can be cleaned up. Time spent on the court together brings continuity. That's going to happen. Gigi Jackson just got back. I think this stretch run, they're going to start playing some of their best basketball early March, and we're going to see a team that is going to be looked at by other opponents as, boy, this is going to be a tough out if we get them in the first round.
Yeah. So you said a lot there. I want to go through some of the things you said, and one of which is there's a big concern among Grizz Nation about how healthy we're going to be as we enter the second half of the season, going into the playoffs. But I want to, before we get to that, you're around the team all the time. The Oklahoma City Thunder was a game that I kind of circled to see the barometer, where we are in terms of the best in the league. And tell me the thoughts, feelings, and emotions of the Grizzlies after that defeat, because that defeat wasn't as close as it should have been. It was a solid loss to me.
Yeah, nobody was happy. It was an opportunity to show what you were capable of, and the opportunity was missed, quite honestly. The Thunder outplayed them. The Thunder executed their game plan and really punished the Grizzlies with the mid-range game. They had a couple guys out. Honestly, I think in that game, just watching the guys, it wasn't lack of effort. It was almost too much effort. Maybe they put a little too much pressure on themselves, and that can happen even with professional athletes. So nobody was happy about that, but they bounced right back. They got to win the next night, and that's the way this team is. The next game is the most important game. So you look at that because it was 1 versus 2 on your home court. You had your full complement of players, and they really took the fight to the Grizzlies early on and built a lead. Against that team, playing from behind is a dangerous game, Andrew. So they'll have another opportunity, a couple more times actually, to play the Thunder and test themselves, and hopefully they'll put a little bit better foot forward.
Yeah, excellent. So the team, from my perspective, and I love the Grizzlies, you know that. The team, from my perspective, is a very deep team. You have all these guys coming back. It's very seem right now healthy. They seem very healthy, but there's just a worry out there that they're waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like there's going to be a bunch of injuries because we've seen it several times. How is the health of the Grizzlies right now? In particular, of course, Ja Morant. We've seen him in and out of the lineup over the last couple of months. Give us an update.
Well, he's playing more games than he's sitting right now, so that's the good thing. And I get the PTSD; we all have it a little bit, but this team's as healthy as they've been in 3 years. So I would put those fears aside and just say, let's just go move on to the next day and forget about the past. Because when you're talking about the injuries the Grizzlies sustained, they're not lingering long-term deals. Desmond Bain last year stepping on a basketball in the middle of a play and rolling his ankle, so he's got to be out 4 to 6 weeks. That's just not going to happen every day, and he doesn't have weak ankles. And when there's general soreness and you're playing second nights of back-to-backs or 3 games in 4 nights, there's going to be nights guys take off. That's just the way the league is run. Jaren's been remarkably durable, and years ago there was questions about his durability. The last 2-3 years, he's been the most durable Grizzly there has been, aside from a former Grizzly and Dylan Brooks, who used to try to play every game. So this is just the science of it now, where it's been studied that these back-to-backs, guys need a day off. As hard and physical and fast as the game is now, it takes a toll on the body. And so you might have nights where you don't see guys. It's nothing to be overly concerned about. There are no significant injuries right now with the team. Everybody's healthy. Everybody's ready to go. This is a much-needed break for not just the Grizzlies, every team in the league, announcers included. Look, we all get tired too, and we don't play the game. So I get it. And these guys will come back. They've got a tough test to start. They'll go Thursday to Indiana. The Pacers are playing much better. And then they'll head Friday down to Orlando to play a Magic team that's getting better and getting healthy and has their 2 best players back. However, with that said, thankfully Orlando plays on Thursday as well, so you're not catching a team just waiting for you. And then you got a tough test on Sunday night with Cleveland. Your first look at the Cavs, who are #1 in the East, and that game just got flexed. We'll still have local coverage with Pete and Brevin and Rob and the guys, but it got flexed to ESPN. So what's happening is people are starting to notice this team. And now that they're healthy, they're going to get more coverage. They're going to get more notoriety. So now the ball's in their court, so to speak, not to use a pun, but they've got to take that and do as best they can with it to prove to people that they are in the upper echelon of the NBA, because I believe that they can be if they play their game. And you mentioned their depth. That's one of their strengths. When they play as fast as they do, they can go deep into their bench. They can break team spirits, and you can see it happen. When it happens, it's impressive.
So we all know about, taking one game at a time and just going, focused, laser focused on all of that. But a lot of us like to think about the playoffs, even though we're not close yet. If there is one team you do not want to play in the playoffs, and when I say you, I mean Memphis Grizzlies, if there's one team that we don't want to see, at least the first, second round, which team doesn't match up well with Memphis?
I mean, I was about to do the Jim Mora playoffs. We're talking about the playoffs. I don't look at it that way. I think in a 7-game series, it doesn't matter who you play because you're playing the same team. The best team in the West, it's clear. I think they're the best in the NBA, are the Oklahoma City Thunder. They play both ends of the floor with extreme aggression. They're not afraid to shoot mid-range jumpers, and they have 2 guys that can knock them down at will. They have size with Chet Holmgren coming back from injury and the signing of Isaiah Hartenstein. They're as good a team as I've seen, I'd say, in the last couple of years. They are really, really talented. If you pick another one, I don't want to go necessarily into that, because there are teams that you don't match up particularly as well with as you do with others. You match up well with Phoenix. You match up well with Dallas. You match up well, I think, with Golden State, even with the addition of Jimmy Butler, even though the Warriors have beaten you twice. I think they match up fairly well with the Lakers now that their size has been jettisoned out. They do have 2 obviously superstar level ball handlers and facilitators in LeBron and Luka Doncic, but I think the Grizzlies match up well with them, especially with their depth. The teams like Houston and the Clippers, who press up, get physical defensively, try to create steals and fast breaks through their defense, those are the teams that seem to give the Grizzlies some problems. And coaching matters. Ime Udoka, Ty Lue, they're both great coaches. I'm not disparaging the coaches of the other teams I mentioned. Steve Kerr is a legendary coach, and it will go down that way. He had a great roster, but he made it better when he got there. So I don't look at matchups like that. I still think Denver's very dangerous, even though they're a different looking team. When you have Nikola Jokic, you probably have the best player in the game at the time. Whoever's on the floor, he's probably going to be the best player on the court. So looking at that, you got to get out of the first round first. And I think the Grizzlies' depth, if you do have home court advantage and the way the fans come out, that leads to an opportunity to move to the second round. In the second round, now you've just got to study your opponent. That's where I think it's beneficial if you're the 2 or the 3 seed. If you're the 2 seed, obviously you get home court in the second round. If you're the 3 seed, you're not facing Oklahoma City. Everybody wants to avoid them, but you're not going to be able to. You got to go through everybody to get to the ultimate goal, which is the NBA Finals, and that's why the competitive side of me is like, I want the best. I want to be tested by the best. If you don't get by the best, you didn't get by the best team, and now you know where you need to get better moving forward.
So, one or two things before we let you go. One or two things that the Memphis Grizzlies need to clear up in order to make a deep playoff run. I think you mentioned turnovers in the beginning.
Yeah.
Is that one of them?
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, look, you're giving me one or two things. You already said early on I gave you a lot. We're radio guys. We're verbose, Andrew. We don't have TV cues. We don't have people in the background telling us wrap it up. We just talk. So this is what you get. But turnovers are it. It's all turnovers. Defensively, when they're good, that leads to good things on the offensive end. I think that if you're tightening something up on the defensive end, it's overcommitting to help on dribble penetration. You're never going to keep NBA ball handlers in front of you all night long. They're too good. The defenders are at a disadvantage. These are the most skilled basketball players on the planet. But when you commit to help somebody whose man is dribbling into the lane, if you leave a wide open 3-point shooter, you got to know who you're leaving. So that's one of the issues they've had. That defensive cohesion comes with more time on the court together. I mentioned that earlier. So that's on the defensive side. Turnovers on the offensive end. Coming into the lane, leaving your feet, not sure where you're going with the ball, or the defense takes it away, having secondary options. Again, I think learning a new offense, it's been remarkable what they've been capable of doing on such a short amount of time. It's only going to get better. And, look, if this team stays intact, and it very easily can with this offense and with the way things are going, this is just the start of things for this group. I know we here in Memphis get spoiled by success, and last year was so hard, and we're happy to be back, competing in a viable NBA playoff team again. But this team is not just plateauing right now, in my opinion. They're leveling up. They're figuring it out. And as they get better, they're going to be a lot of fun to watch. So if you clean up those turnovers, when they keep turnovers under 16, they're a difficult team to beat. Really difficult because of the number of possessions.
Real quick, just for me, what happened to Jay Huff? I don't see him as much.
That's the problem. You can only play 5 guys. He's in great spirits. Jay's, a pro. But when you get Gigi Jackson back, when you get Vince Williams back, Brandon Clark's playing well, Santi Aldama, there's only 48 minutes at each position. And Jaron's eating up 31 at the power forward spot. And then Zach Edey's going to take 24 at the center spot. Now you got to find the 24 and the 17. That's 41 minutes. And you have Aldama and Clark. It's hard for Jay to get out there. Jay is a pro. He'll be ready to go when the number's called. There will be nights you will see him. There will be nights where you won't. And that's part of the rotational divide. But he's a blessing to have because he can stretch the floor. He can protect the rim. Honestly, in a short amount of time, it's one of the favorite guys I've ever seen put on a Grizzly uniform. Nothing but smiles, always, cheerful. I tell a story. I ran into him in the hotel lobby when we went to Boston, and Rob Fisher and I, our sideline reporter, were going to dinner and to watch a little college football. And we saw Jay, and he's like, "Well, where are you guys off to?" We were like, "Hey, we're going to go watch a football game. What are you up to?" He goes, "Going to a bookstore." In 24 years, I don't think I've had a player say, "Yeah, I'm going to go to this little bookstore I like in Boston," which is great. It's not knocking our guys. They're young. Not a lot of young guys think about going to a bookstore. That's the different type of guy he is. He's just a great dude to be around. He and his wife just bring an energy that's so positive. So he's good. I mean, I get what you're saying, and people will ask that, what's going to happen to this guy, John Konchar's minutes, all these things that happen when you have a full complement of players, which is just something we're not very used to here in Memphis over the last couple of years.
Yeah, no question about it. Speaking of a great guy, Eric Hasseltine, radio voice of the Memphis Grizzlies, joining us on his vacation, a gentleman and a scholar. Eric,
Check is in the mail. Check is in the mail, my friend.
All right, man. Hey, get some rest, will you?
You got it, brother.
Okay, see you. All right, back here in the Action News 5 digital desk, there is some good news for tax filers this tax season. Many of our states here can file e-file returns directly with the IRS for free. These free tax filing methods are available to millions of Americans this tax season through IRS Direct File, and they can file from the phone as well, Direct File. Okay, let's bring in someone to talk more about this. I'm joined now by Adam Rubin. He is Vice President of the Economic Security Project to talk more about Direct File and what this means to all of us who have to file taxes this season. So, Adam, good morning to you. First, let's talk about what Direct File is and how that affects people in our area. Good morning.
Good morning. Direct File is a simple, secure, and always free tax filing option provided by the IRS to help take some of the headache out of tax filing. Look, no one loves having to prepare their taxes, but at least you shouldn't have to pay to get it done. So if you have a local accountant you like or commercial tax prep software, you can still use it. But if you'd like to be able to file for free from your phone or your computer, usually in less than an hour with no hidden fees or upselling, now you can with IRS Direct File.
Did you hear me? I'm sorry. Did you hear me?
I'm sorry,
Adam?
No.
Okay, I'm sorry. So I heard that the taxpayers and tax filers in 25 different states will be able to use this software and this kind of system. We're in Tennessee. We also broadcast into Mississippi and Arkansas. Can all those tax filers do this?
So Direct File is for people with simple tax situations across 25 states, including Tennessee. And that means people who are employees who get a W-2 form from their employer. It's not yet available for freelancers or gig workers, people with complicated investments, or who are working across multiple states. And so people can check their own eligibility by going to this website, directfile.irs.gov. And if you're eligible, all you need is your W-2 form. It's going to walk you through a simple set of questions in English or Spanish to help you fill in the information on your tax return. If you get stuck or have a question, there's free live chat support in both languages. And it's going to be a great option for a lot of taxpayers this year.
Yeah, I was going to say, last year, I understand that was the first year. Are there any changes and improvements?
Yeah, more states, more tax situations, and more time savings. So more states, it's available in 25 states this year. More tax situations, including retirement income from 401ks or pensions and annuities, although not yet IRAs. And it's going to help people claim tax credits like the earned income tax credit, the child tax credit, and new this year, the child and dependent care tax credit. And finally, more time savings. The IRS says that starting in a couple of weeks, they're going to fill in even more information on the return for you. And that makes sense because they have your W-2 form. Your employer sent it into them. So rather than quizzing you on your income, they're going to start filling it in for you. And that's a giant step toward making tax filing virtually automatic the way that it is in so many other countries.
So, Adam, we have thousands of people who watch us here on the digital desk, and they might hear this and they are looking at themselves thinking, you know, I'd like to be a part of this. I'd like to do this for free. What's the best method for them to look and see if they qualify and if it actually works out for them?
Yeah, they can go to this website, directfile.irs.gov, for more information or to check eligibility. And if you're not eligible, let your friends and family know. You just might save them a little money this tax season.
Anything else that we can touch on with regards to this, with regards to this tax season that filers should know about?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to note that this is going to save people a lot of time and money. The average taxpayer spends $160 in 9 hours filing their taxes, and most people would rather spend that money to pay bills than pay TurboTax. So Direct File is always free. There's no middleman trying to upsell you or sell your data. And in fact, our research at Economic Security Project finds that when Direct File is fully implemented within a couple of years, it's going to save Tennessee taxpayers $406 million a year in tax prep fees saved, in time saved, and in additional tax credits people will be able to access. So that's real money back in working and middle class families' pockets.
Absolutely. Adam Rubin, we really appreciate your time on the Digital Desk. Thank you for enlightening us with this new option to file directly with the IRS for free. Thanks for your time.
Thanks very much. Check out directfile.irs.gov to get started.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm Andrew Douglas, and we got Talisa Franklin joining us on the Action News 5 Digital Desk, giving us all kinds of positive news across Memphis and the Mid-South. How are you, my friend?
I am amazing. I am good. I feel great. Even though we've got this projected crazy weather, I'm still excited about Memphis, and I'm still excited about this week because it's still going to be great regardless. Rain, sleet, or snow. The sun is always shining over here.
Exactly. And it's nice and warm inside, you know, no matter the condition outside. So what you got going on?
So let me tell you all, parents, you will all know that right now is all about the class of 25, the class of 25. Well, listen, we need to make sure those class of 25 babies have a great direction on what's their next higher education. And so I'm super excited about the HBC College Fair. If you know anything about me, you know that I am an HBCU lover. I have my boys that actually graduated from Mississippi Valley, so I have a great love for HBCU, and then I love Lemoyne on, right? And so on this Friday, listen, I need you to get there at the Raleigh Branch Library is our HBCU College Fair at 10 a.m. Let me tell you, Miss Nichelle Smith and her entire team, the Community Plug, has worked so hard to bring an amazing HBCU college fair. Can I tell you, there's over 300 students have already committed to come to this HBCU college fair. I am excited about what the future look like for our children. But if you do not know what your child wants to do, or you just want to get some information or bring your child, be there on this Friday. Come out to the Communities Plugs third annual HBCU College Fair. Connect with representatives from local schools to learn about all the admissions. That's a big thing, y'all. Scholarships, programs, and even financial aid to help you prepare for this next big transition of life. So let's make sure we all get there to HBCU College Fair on this Friday, the 21st at 10 o'clock. I'm excited to be there to talk to some of our young people and really making sure they have great direction. And then, y'all, there is another amazing event that is happening that weekend, and it's a Mardi Gras in Memphis. Listen, I'm super excited with what's happening in downtown Memphis. Fat Tuesday is an amazing organization. They are sponsoring this event. Robry, him and his whole team, they came together with this Memphis Mardi Gras. Let me tell y'all, it's something to do Friday, Saturday, and Sunday right in downtown Memphis. And let's pack this thing out. Let's have a great time. And let's just enjoy Mardi Gras Memphis. And shout out to the team that's putting this together. Again, if you need more information for Mardi Gras Memphis, go to mardigras.memphis.com. And I'm telling you, this weekend will be amazing. And who don't like a little Mardi Gras? You ain't got to go to New Orleans. Memphis got it going on this weekend. So let's make sure we get here. And then I want to send some love out to Lie Academy, which is Ladia Yates, I'm sorry. She's such an amazing young lady. and they have this school musical play. So I absolutely love a play, y'all. I'm a girl that loves a musical, love a play. So LYE Academy is presenting the school board musical, and it is hosted by Memphis's own Latoya Tennell. Y'all, she is really, really funny. So let's make sure we support. I believe this is a fundraiser for her organization that is always doing great things for our children. So let's make sure, save the date, but I need you to go ahead and buy your tickets so that we can show Memphis that we support Memphis and we buy out Memphis. This event is going to happen in April, but I know as a person that's always doing events, it makes us feel good to sell out our tickets very, very early. So go ahead and save the date, April 13th. The doors are open up at 5, but you gotta make sure you have your tickets for the school board musical by LYE Academy. And let me tell you, it's always something great going on in Memphis, and you dare not want to miss it. Listen, you don't have to travel other places to get good stuff. We got great things that's happening right here in the city of Memphis, Andrew. I'm always proud to call Memphis my home, always.
Same here, Talisa. I love it. Those are great, and really appreciate you coming on the digital desk and telling us all about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Talk to y'all soon. Bye-bye.
Okay, we'll see you later. Another live look from our High Five camera here in Midtown Memphis as we go to break. Nice and calm right now. It's going to be very different in several hours. Let's talk about your forecast in detail in 60 seconds.
Hopefully you're having a great start to your Tuesday throughout the Mid-South. I'm meteorologist Eric Brill in for meteorologist Patrick Ellis. We are expecting dry weather conditions to be around during the AM hours and even into the early PM hours. Notice by 2 p.m., 40 degrees, but not expecting any showers. It really is out there about 3 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That is when those showers will start to approach the Mid-South and eventually move through the Mid-South here, especially between 10 p.m. on Tuesday night into 4 a.m. on Wednesday morning. 41 degrees, the expected high temperature for Memphis, 41 for Selmer, 36 for Brownsville, and 33 for Ripley, Tennessee. Ripley, Mississippi looking to top off at 43, 41 in Corinth, 43 in Oxford, 43 in Clarksdale, and 41 in Tunica. Mostly cloudy skies, dry weather conditions expected really throughout the day here in northern Mississippi. Finally, northeast Arkansas expecting temperatures to have a little bit of a range here, a little bit colder to the north, some lower 30s, while some lower 40s will make a reappearance into Phillips County for Helena, West Helena under mostly cloudy skies. Now, down the road, we do have the winter storm warnings and the winter weather advisories that are in place for all the Mid-South here. Typically, winter storm warnings mean a little more snow, winter weather advisories a little less snow, and I think that's going to be the case here as far as who's within the warning and who's in the advisory. Those areas in pink are in the warning, and everybody else is within the advised areas. These are set to expire here on Wednesday morning, whether it be at 6 a.m. or noon, and if you do get the notifications from the First Alert Weather app here, you will be seeing any sort of new updates that do come about here around the Mid-South, whether it be snow accumulations, warnings, advisories, even if it doesn't pertain to this given storm system. Now, the precipitation type here, we do expect a little bit of a mix to get this started, but we are going to see some colder conditions or colder temperatures start to build in as Tuesday evening turns into Wednesday morning. That will result in that snow line dropping itself down to the south, and everybody will be seeing some snow flying around here for Wednesday morning. When can you start to see these showers approach the Mid-South and move through the Mid-South? Into northeast Arkansas between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m., in the heart of the Mid-South between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m., and off to the east here, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. is more your time frame, and the snow shower activity, it will be around here for a few hours, really about a 12-hour span from the time it gets started until the time it comes to a completion. Futurecast data agrees with pretty much everything noted here. Quiet conditions really till about 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and even then, it really is just northeast Arkansas getting in on the snow action and the shower activity. 6 o'clock in the evening, it's possible we might not even have seen snow showers yet for Memphis, but notice it's not really too far to the north where some of those snow showers will start to engulf, including Dyersburg, Blytheville, Brownsville, over into Ripley, and then the deeper we go into the evening and eventually to the overnight hours, the more these showers will start to spread. By midnight, notice 278 from Clarksdale to Batesville, Oxford, even over to Tupelo. The snow showers are falling here, so we're keeping our fingers crossed we won't have to deal with any sort of frozen precipitation as far as freezing rain goes. And I don't really think that's a big threat here for this given winter weather event. By 5 o'clock in the morning, the majority of the Mid-South is going to be dry except closer to the Tennessee River. And by 8 a.m., this is pretty much all set and done. But notice our temperatures. They will be in the upper teens and lower 20s. When can you expect these showers to come to an end? 2 to 5 a.m. in northeast Arkansas, 3 to 6 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday for Shelby County, into Tipton County, Lauderdale County, even down to the south for Tunica, as well as DeSoto and Tate counties. Finally, off to the east, 5 a.m. to 8 a.m., closer to the Tennessee River. Snow totals out of this have adjusted this a little bit, maybe a little less snow, especially along and south of I-40, a little less moisture looks like it will be in play. Up to the north, Dyersburg, Blytheville, Alamo, Ripley, 3 to 6 inches. Just south of that for Covington, Wynne, as well as Arlington towards Lakeland, and even into Millington, about 2 to 4 inches. South of that, 1 to 3 inches, including the city of Memphis, Hernando, Olive Branch, Eads, even into Forest City, West Memphis, and Mariana. South of that, a dusting to 2 inches of snow for Helena, West Helena, Clarksdale, as well as Oxford, Batesville, Ripley, Tennessee, and for Tupelo. Behind this, the big thing is going to be your temperatures. It is going to be frigid around the Mid-South on Wednesday, Thursday, and even into Friday. Anything that does fall, it's really going to hang around here for the next few days. 26 for a high on Wednesday, 22 for Thursday, 33 degrees for Friday, and it won't be until Sunday and Monday before we start to return to near average. So if you're a cold weather fan, hey, this is right down your alley, but I'd imagine this is probably even a little extreme for you. There is a 90% chance of showers from Tuesday into Wednesday. We do have that first alert weather day for Wednesday with the winter weather impacts and with those cold conditions as well. Afternoon highs in the middle to lower 20s on Wednesday and Thursday. Isolated showers are possible for Saturday. Not really too excited about that yet. And if I had to pick a day for the weekend, it certainly would be Sunday over Saturday just because it will be warmer. But hey, at least Monday, early next week, does look to be pretty solid with afternoon highs back in the lower 60s. Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. It has been more than 50 years since an American won the World Chess Championship. That was chess legend Bobby Fischer taking home the prize back in 1972. And today's young American talent, that streak may finally be coming to an end. At just 14 years old, Alice Lee took home the top prize at this year's America's Cup in St. Louis. So let's talk about the future of American chess and what that's all about with a grandmaster himself, Maurice Ashley, joining us on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. He is the first African-American grandmaster back in 1999. Since then, he's been a commentator. He's covering every class of chess. He's written a new book, and he joins us on the Digital Desk. Maurice, I appreciate you being here. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me.
I'm glad you're here. I'm a big chess fan myself. I play online right now, and tell me about the future of American chess. Where are we when it comes to the world? Where's American chess?
Well, the United States is one of the top countries in the world when it comes to chess. Just actually won an Olympic title a few years back. And we have top players, whether it's Fabiano Caruana, he's the number 2 player in the world. Hikaru Nakamura, the number 3 player in the world. We also have great youngsters who are coming up. You mentioned one, Alice Lee. She is a really bright talent, only 14 years young, and took down a lot of veterans at the American Cup recently. But other names spring to mind as well, whether it's Sam Sevian, who's a beast of a player, young Brewington Hardaway, who may become the second African-American grandmaster in history. The list just goes on and on. The future is absolutely bright for American chess.
I love hearing that. I really do. Tell me how St. Louis got involved in all this. I understand like St. Louis is like the heart of American chess right now.
More than just the heart, it's the capital of chess in the United States. And that was designated by Congress 10 years ago. It started with a couple of philanthropists, Rex and Dr. Jeannie Sinkfield, just chess fans who thought, chess is a great thing, love to play. Let's start a little chess club. Little did they know it would just blossom and start to flourish as a place where you would have chess for kids at school. You would have some of the biggest tournaments in the world. The U.S. Chess Championships are there, the Sinkfield Cup, which draws the top 10 players, the elite of the chess world playing. And I often say you could throw a rock and hit a grandmaster in St. Louis. It has the World Chess Hall of Fame and also the biggest chess piece in the world as well. It is really almost the Disneyland of chess. If you go to St. Louis, it's absolutely a great place for all things chess.
Awesome. Good to know that. Let me ask you this. One of my favorite series ever in Netflix was The Queen's Gambit. Tell me what you thought of that series, and has that spurred more interest in the game?
Yes, it's a fabulous series. So many people watched it. And a lot of chess players, I'll tell you, when we look at anything that has a chessboard on it, whether it's a commercial or a TV show, we're always looking for mistakes. This show had none. It was authentic. It showed the way chess players actually act, think, feel, the competition, the drama. It was incredible. The character was wonderful as well. It had a couple of professionals who worked as consultants on the show, so they made sure that it was airtight. And it had so much interest that it created a new boom for chess. Myself, I've been not only writing more chess books, but also doing a lot of corporate speaking as a result of the fact that so many people were interested in hearing not just about chess, but also the strategies from chess that you can connect to business and everyday life.
Wow, that's great to hear. I think at the time it came out, Queen's Gambit like broke records for Netflix and the amount of people watching it. So, and I'm a huge chess fan myself. So tell me about Maurice. Tell me about your new book, Move by Move.
Move by Move: Life Lessons on and off the chessboard. The kinds of lessons that I learned playing this game, I want to share with not just chess players, but everyday readers. For me, chess has just been life-changing. And there's so many lessons I talk about, whether it's knowing your opponent's ideas, thinking about them first. All competition begins, all competitive strategy begins with thinking about the other person's ideas, not your own. Whether it's things like learning from your mistakes. We chess players, we embrace our mistakes. We don't run away from them. We study them very, very carefully in order to avoid making those same mistakes in the future. Another one is becoming like a child. For me, I may be a grandmaster, but I always consider myself an advanced beginner. I'm always learning not just advanced ideas, but basic ideas, things that I saw 20, 30 years ago. When I see them again, I think, man, did I never learn this stuff? Because the basics have a lot to teach us in whatever it is that we do. So it's ideas like that and many more that I share in the book in order to give those lessons to others so they can improve their critical thinking skills, their decision-making skills, whether it's in business, whether it's in their personal lives. just for general improvement overall.
We got so many schools, so many students that are involved in various chess activities, chess clubs, competitions, that sort of thing. If there were some players out there, some chess players that wanted to get involved in the world of chess and be on that, grand stage, what would you recommend they do?
Well, back in the day, I would say books, books, books. Grab the best chess book you can find and start studying away. But these days, 21st century, it's all online. It's all digital. You can go to great websites like stlouischessclub.org and see videos, not just of how to play, but with the great tournaments, the great masters and grandmasters of the game, with commentary that breaks it down, keeps it nice and relatable so that you can begin to appreciate the finer points of the game. You can see chess puzzles for you to practice so that whenever you get in those kind of game type situations, you'll be able to find the winning move. So it's all really online for everyone to be able to study thousands, if not tens of thousands of video hours. stlouischessclub.org, just one of the great websites you can go to learn more.
Maurice, this has been a great interview. We really appreciate you taking the time on the digital desk. I leave the last question open to you. Anything else you want to mention before we let you go to the people of Memphis in the Mid-South?
Well, again, chess is one of those games that transforms lives. And I often say that the journey gives value to the destination. Whatever it is that you're doing, it's step by step, any obstacle you face, move by move, just keep your head to the grindstone and you'll get there. That's one of the lessons I learned from chess. You definitely want to apply it to your life.
All right, Maurice Ashley, Grandmaster, talking about the future of American chess, and that future is a bright one. Maurice, we appreciate you on the digital desk. Thanks so much. Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. More older Americans are working now than ever before. Today, roughly 39 million Americans ages 55 and older are in the labor force, more than 2.5 times that number that were in the labor force some 40 years ago. And many of them are looking for a job change. I am joined right now on the Action News 5 Digital Desk by work and jobs expert Carly Rozowski, and she's going to be here to talk a little bit about some of the strategies for those older workers and showcase how they can showcase their skills, experience, and combat age discrimination. Carly, thanks for joining us on the digital desk. So where is the job search landscape for Americans 55 and older? Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, we're still in a really tight labor market with historically low unemployment rate. There are more job openings than there are people looking for jobs. In our recent survey asking people 50 and older if they were looking to switch jobs in 2025, and 24% said yes, which is a 10% increase over last year. And the data is showing that more Americans are looking to switch jobs now than at any point in the past decade. Making more money is the main reason why people want to switch jobs this year, but it's also followed by wanting more flexible work arrangements and wanting to do more meaningful work.
Yeah, I know a lot of people out there, particularly people ages 55 and over, feel that their age may hold them back. Is there perhaps a way that AARP and perhaps the employee and the applicant themselves can combat age discrimination?
Many professionals in their 50s, 60s, and 70s do feel that age discrimination can hurt their chances of getting a new job or even advancing in their current careers. And our AARP research consistently shows that 64% of people 50 and older have either seen or experienced age discrimination in the workplace. But given employers' need for talent and it being a tight labor market, it does make great business sense to hire older, experienced workers and to retain them. Over 77% of all workers say that they value the experience and skills that their older colleagues bring to the job. And AARP is doing a ton of education to both the consumer about their rights and knowing their rights, as well as educating employers on the value of older workers and how they can be more age inclusive.
So let's talk about tips, suggestions, ways that older job seekers can update their resume and be a very good applicant for that next job.
Yeah, we want older job seekers to have a resume that highlights their skills and not their age. So we recommend no longer than 2 pages for a resume, and we want to make sure you highlight recent years of experience, about 10 to 15 years. And while you want to include your credentials, you don't have to include your graduation dates. Make sure you remove your street address, which is an outdated practice, and make sure if you're holding on to an old AOL or Hotmail email address, you might want to update to a more modern service like Gmail. Another best practice that's good for all job seekers is to bot-proof your resume. So some organizations use AI bots to screen resumes and sometimes eliminate candidates before they're even seen by a real person. So in order to get past these bots or these digital gatekeepers, we recommend that you use industry-specific terms on your resume or even keywords directly from job descriptions that you're interested in.
Those are great tips. I really appreciate it. That's some valuable information there. Tell us about the importance of networking for those older Americans in that job search.
Networking is critical to any job search. Talking to friends, family members, neighbors, even coworkers, and letting them know that you're looking for a new job opportunity. Also, if you are not on LinkedIn, now's a great time to join. Make sure that you include a recent professional profile photo, as well as making sure you fill out the skills section. LinkedIn members that have at least 5 skills listed on their profile are 27 times more likely to be seen by recruiters. LinkedIn groups are another great way to interact with people in your industry, ask for advice, and network.
All great advice there, Carly. What else can we talk about when it comes to older Americans, 55 and up, looking for jobs, perhaps a job change in their future?
Well, AARP has a ton of free resources, everything from articles to on-demand webinars to hundreds of online courses you can take to upskill and reskill. You can find all of those at aarp.org/work.
Carly Rozowski, we really appreciate your time once again on the Digital Desk. Thank you so much for offering up these tips, advice, suggestions, and ideas for all those looking to perhaps switch jobs ages 55 and older. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Hopefully you're having a great start to your Tuesday throughout the Mid-South. I'm meteorologist Eric Brill in for meteorologist Patrick Ellis. We are expecting dry weather conditions to be around during the AM hours and even into the early PM hours. Notice by 2 p.m., 40 degrees, but not expecting any showers. It really is out there about 3 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That is when those showers will start to approach the Mid-South and eventually move through the Mid-South here, especially between 10 p.m. on Tuesday night into 4 a.m. on Wednesday morning. 41 degrees, the expected high temperature for Memphis, 41 for Selmer, 36 for Brownsville, and 33 for Ripley, Tennessee. Ripley, Mississippi looking to top off at 43, 41 in Corinth, 43 in Oxford, 43 in Clarksdale, and 41 in Tunica. Mostly cloudy skies, dry weather conditions expected really throughout the day here in northern Mississippi. Finally, northeast Arkansas expecting temperatures to have a little bit of a range here, a little bit colder to the north, some lower 30s, while some lower 40s will make a reappearance into Phillips County for Helena, West Helena under mostly cloudy skies. Now, down the road, we do have the winter storm warnings and the winter weather advisories that are in place for all the Mid-South here. Typically, winter storm warnings mean a little more snow, winter weather advisories a little less snow, and I think that's going to be the case here as far as who's within the warning and who's in the advisory. Those areas in pink are in the warning, and everybody else is within the advised areas. These are set to expire here on Wednesday morning, whether it be at 6 a.m. or noon, and if you do get the notifications from the First Alert Weather app here, you will be seeing any sort of new updates that do come about here around the Mid-South, whether it be snow accumulations, warnings, advisories, even if it doesn't pertain to this given storm system. Now, the precipitation type here, we do expect a little bit of a mix to get this started, but we are going to see some colder conditions or colder temperatures start to build in as Tuesday evening turns into Wednesday morning. That will result in that snow line dropping itself down to the south, and everybody will be seeing some snow flying around here for Wednesday morning. When can you start to see these showers approach the Mid-South and move through the Mid-South? Into northeast Arkansas between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m., in the heart of the Mid-South between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m., and off to the east here, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. is more your time frame. And the snow shower activity, it will be around here for a few hours, really about a 12-hour span from the time it gets started until the time it comes to a completion. Futurecast data agrees with pretty much everything noted here. Quiet conditions really till about 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and even then, it really is just northeast Arkansas getting in on the snow action and the shower activity. 6 o'clock in the evening, it's possible we might not even have seen snow showers yet for Memphis, but notice it's not really too far to the north where some of those snow showers will start to engulf, including Dyersburg, Blytheville, Brownsville, over into Ripley, and then the deeper we go into the evening and eventually to the overnight hours, the more these showers will start to spread. By midnight, notice 278 from Clarksdale to Batesville, Oxford, even over to Tupelo. The snow showers are falling here, so we're keeping our fingers crossed we won't have to deal with any sort of frozen precipitation as far as freezing rain goes. And I don't really think that's a big threat here for this given winter weather event. By 5 o'clock in the morning, the majority of the Mid-South is going to be dry except closer to the Tennessee River. And by 8 a.m., this is pretty much all said and done. But notice our temperatures. They will be in the upper teens and lower 20s. When can you expect these showers to come to an end? 2 to 5 a.m. in northeast Arkansas, 3 to 6 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday for Shelby County, into Tipton County, Lauderdale County, even down to the south for Tunica, as well as DeSoto and Tate counties. Finally, off to the east, 5 a.m. to 8 a.m., closer to the Tennessee River. Snow totals out of this have adjusted this a little bit, maybe a little less snow, especially along and south of I-40, a little less moisture looks like it will be in play. Up to the north, Dyersburg, Blytheville, Alamo, Ripley, 3 to 6 inches. Just south of that for Covington, Wynne, as well as Arlington towards Lakeland, and even into Millington, about 2 to 4 inches. South of that, 1 to 3 inches, including the city of Memphis, Hernando, Olive Branch, Eads, even into Forest City, West Memphis, and Mariana. South of that, a dusting to 2 inches of snow for Helena, West Helena, Clarksdale, as well as Oxford, Batesville, Ripley, Tennessee, and for Tupelo. Behind this, the big thing is going to be your temperatures. It is going to be frigid around the Mid-South on Wednesday, Thursday, and even into Friday. Anything that does fall, it's really going to hang around here for the next few days. 26 for a high on Wednesday, 22 for Thursday, 33 degrees for Friday, and it won't be until Sunday and Monday before we start to return to near average. So if you're a cold weather fan, hey, this is right down your alley, but I'd imagine this is probably even a little extreme for you. There is a 90% chance of showers from Tuesday into Wednesday. We do have that first alert weather day for Wednesday with the winter weather impacts and with those cold conditions as well. Afternoon highs in the middle to lower 20s on Wednesday and Thursday. Isolated showers are possible for Saturday. Not really too excited about that yet. And if I had to pick a day for the weekend, it certainly would be Sunday over Saturday just because it will be warmer. But hey, at least Monday, early next week, does look to be pretty solid with afternoon highs back in the lower 60s.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Love may be blind, but your wallet shouldn't be. How do you spot a romance scam out there? There are always people being taken for romance scams all across the internet and beyond. Let's bring in an expert to make sure that we are avoid any kind of scam when it comes to romance or any scam online. I'm joined right now by Denise Lienhard. She is with Zelle. And Denise, where do we begin? What kind of scams are we seeing the most these days? Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. So as we spend more and more of our time online, whether that be dating apps or social media platforms, unfortunately, the scammers are following us there. So take, for instance, a romance scam. You could meet somebody in a dating app. You could start to correspond with them over text messages, over emails. They might be sending you pictures of beautiful people, and it all feels a little bit too good to be true. And then all of a sudden they come out of nowhere and they ask you for money. If you haven't met them in real life and they're asking you for money, it's not true love. It's definitely a scam.
How do we protect ourselves from that? Because we want to believe it. We want to believe that we're talking on the other line with that very attractive person. How do we decipher whether that's just a scam or if that person really is hot to us?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you always need to verify identity. So that's why if somebody is reaching out to you who you've never met before, you always need to have that level of skepticism of, is this person real or not? And then if they're asking you for money, it's definitely a scam. So just, you can hang up the phone, you can stop the texting, you don't have to answer that email. It's not rude, you're just protecting yourself. The other thing that I would say is whenever you're sending money to someone new, you should always take a pause, take a deep breath, think about, am I sending money to somebody that I know and trust? Is this a safe transaction? And then third, if your gut is telling you that there might be something wrong or there's red flags happening to you, talk to your friends and family. Tell them what's going on and let others know.
That's great advice, Denise. Thank you. What other types of scams are trending right now from your vantage point at Zelle?
Yeah, so what we're also seeing is that scammers definitely prey on you when your emotions are high. So if you think about something like the Los Angeles wildfires and how terrible of a situation that was, there were people that were popping up and they were impersonating insurance agents and they were impersonating charities, reaching out to people and asking for money. If you're getting reached out to and somebody's asking for money, what my suggestion would be hang up the phone, don't answer the text or even delete the text, and don't answer the email. But then go to that company's website and call them directly in order to verify their identity.
I know that you work for Zelle, but unfortunately, Zelle is one of those apps out there where a lot of scammers use it in order to scam people, rip people off. What types of things are you doing and Zelle doing to prevent and stop this kind of scam?
Well, it's so interesting because the scams actually start way before the payment. So if you think about it, the scam starts with that connection between the scammer and the potential victim. And that all starts in places like social media platforms. It starts in the text messages. It starts in the spoof phone calls. So that's really where the connection and the scam is taking place. But then when you think about what Zelle is doing in order to protect our network, we saw $1 trillion of payment volume last year. $1 trillion. So that's a lot of zeros, but it's also a huge testament that 151 million American consumers and small businesses trust Zelle in order to live their everyday lives. And because we see so many transactions, we've built these very strong risk models and technology to be able to identify bad actors.
Okay, so if someone wants to learn more about perhaps what we talked about, maybe even more than that, do a deep dive, where can they go?
You can check us out at zellepay.com.
Okay, Denise Lienhard, we really appreciate your time. That was excellent information out there for all of our viewers. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. February is Heart Health Month. We always are trying to feel better, make sure that we are doing better in terms of our heart health. And, you know, maybe you're still on those New Year's resolutions trying to better your health in the new year. Well, let's check in with someone that can help us when it comes to healthy eating, specifically aimed at a better heart. We got Quinay Johnson joining us once again on the Action News 5 Digital Desk. She is a clinical dietitian for Regional One Health. Nice to have you back, Quinay. So when it comes to heart health, what are some tips that all of us can use today? Not next week, not next month, today, for our meals to better our heart. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you again for having me. One of the things that we can do to help improve our heart health is by focusing on unsaturated fat, eating more unsaturated fats or healthy fats to help with your heart health, and avoiding things that are fried, such as your fried chicken or your ham hock, things of those nature. And also incorporating more fruits and vegetables in your diet to incorporate fiber, which also helps with your heart health.
Gotcha. And so there are specific foods. I always hear about the avocado being something that has those healthy fats and is good to have throughout the day, right?
Yes, avocados is a great example. It not only has a lot of fiber, but also has a lot of unsaturated fats that help with your lab levels when it comes to your heart health and prevents the clogging of arteries.
Now, eggs have become so expensive, but sometimes they get a bad rap. But in actuality, eggs are also another good thing to have for heart health. Is that true?
Yes, one of the things that eggs received backlash for in previous times before research came out was it was high in cholesterol. But with the upcoming research, we have found that cholesterol really isn't the problem when it comes to exacerbating or making your heart health worse. It's more so those saturated fats or highly processed foods.
And I am someone who is a carnivore. I mean, I like meat, of course, all kinds as well. And I like, fish and vegetarian meals. I like it all. I'm on the seafood diet. I see food and I like to eat it. So tell us about some of the misconceptions of beef, for example.
I believe one of the biggest misconceptions about meat is because it's a red meat, it is detrimental to your health. That is not the case because beef has a lot of protein, one that is really good for retaining muscles and keeping your strength on you so that you can continue to do things for yourself. And also it has a lot of vitamins and minerals that are also important to your health. But the thing that you have to pay attention to when it comes to consuming beef or other red meats is that it tends to have higher saturated fats. And if you choose leaner cuts, such as your sirloin or tenderloins, those can help prevent you from eating too much saturated fat and to also try to limit your consumption of red meats to once a week.
Moderation is key, right, Quinay? I mean, in
Yes.
everything throughout life. Let's talk about some other foods for a healthy heart.
Your whole foods, specifically fruits and vegetables. I love to talk about fruits and vegetables. That's my thing. But when it comes to plant-based alternatives, I highly recommend sticking to whole foods versus going for alternatives because of your mock meats in the stores. They tend to have a lot of fat too if you don't pay attention to the food labels. When it comes to whole foods, I meant fruits and vegetables and whole grains. So your oatmeal, your brown rice, quinoa. I love quinoa. That's a great grain. And I'm thinking of higher fruits. Avocado is actually deemed as a fruit in the science world. And then also peaches, your pineapples, apples. I don't think an apple a day, any doctor will steer you away from that point.
Good point. Good point. I love it. A lot of people are concerned about various seed oils. Any thoughts on that?
So seed oils, again, moderation is key. There are a lot of benefits in seed oils, especially your flaxseed. And I'm trying to think of another seed off the top of my head. We'll just stick with flax seeds. Flax seeds tend to have a lot of AHA, which is a oil that can be anti-inflammatory, and that's one of the properties that really help with your heart health and the integrity of your like vessel lining or your cardiac function. I'm trying to think of the best words, but seed oils are not bad. They're just great in moderation. And it's best to really avoid your saturated fats going back again to the meat that, not the meat, the oil that comes from cooking things like a high fat beef patty, like if it's under 80 to 20, that grade, I say avoid that grade of meat.
What about cooking styles? You mentioned, frying things is bad. I think most people know about that. What are the cooking tips?
I always advocate for baking or air frying if you're into air frying as opposed to deep frying foods. Some people like to sear and just cook things dry, or this is a less flavorful option, but you can boil. Those are some of the things that you can do instead of deep frying food. And also throwing in a salad every once in a while and eating things fresh as opposed to cooking it. It can be a great benefit to your heart as well.
I agree. Anything else? Another, perhaps tip that you want people to know? Maybe just an overline idea and theme.
A great thing to always keep in the back of your mind is to always meet a goal. So when it comes to improving your heart health, try not to think of taking away things. Instead, think in the mindset of, oh, I need to meet this quota. I need to eat 3 servings of fruit today, or I need to eat 4 servings of vegetables today, as opposed to saying, oh, let me not touch my favorite burger at all.
Got it. Okay. Quinay Johnson, we really appreciate you coming on the digital desk and offering up those great suggestions, advice, and tips for all of us trying to have a healthy heart in 2025. Thank you.
Thank you, and you all have a great day. It was a pleasure seeing you.
You do the same. All right, good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm Andrew Douglas. Well, my next guest is a legend, the Beach Boys. All right, the Beach Boys are one of the most critically acclaimed and commercially successful bands of all time. Get this, over 100 million records sold worldwide. They have received so many different accolades and awards over the years, 80 songs hitting the charts, 36 of them in the U.S. Top 40, Lifetime Grammy Achievement Award. They are a beloved American institution, and I am joined right now on the digital desk by the lead singer of the Beach Boys, Mike Love, joining me now. And Mike, when you started the band, the Beach Boys, did you ever think you would get those kind of accolades? Good morning to you.
Good morning, and nice to be with you. I'll tell you, we've been involved with your area of the world since I can remember. You know, we played all over the place, Mud Island, you name it. I mean, we played Mississippi, Tennessee, all over the place. And it's been fantastic. Some great music fans. in the area. So, but to answer your question more specifically, no, we didn't know what we were doing or how to do it, but we learned. And our first song came out in the fall of 1961. It was called Surfin', and it was just a local hit. It went to #2 in LA and #1 in Vegas and maybe a couple other towns. But it was a dinky little label. But it caught the attention of Capitol Records. And with Capitol Records, we had Surfin' Safari, Surfin' USA, I Get Around, Fun, 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 Help Me Rhonda, California Girls, Good Vibrations, and our Pet Sounds album and the Party album with Barbara Ann. So we had a whole lot of hits in a very short period of time.
The Beach Boys will be in Senatobia at the Heidel Center February 22nd, beginning at 7:30. You know, the last time I talked to you, Mike, you mentioned some great stories about Elvis Presley and playing with him back in the day. Can you tell me just a little bit for our audience?
Well, we recorded in the same recording studio complex, and I remember he had not been touring. He was just getting back into touring, and we were up touring our brains out. So, you know, we went and visited him in the studio where he was recording, and he was asking us questions about, you know, just chit chat, small talk about what about traveling and stuff. I mean, obviously he drove the bus, so he knew how to travel, and he knew how to sing damn well too. But anyway, we were literally in the same neighborhood recording studio, and then later on we saw him a couple of times in Las Vegas, and would go backstage and exchange pleasantries. But there was never a nicer guy and a public person. You know, he's always such a great guy, and he's still beloved by so many people to this day.
No question about it. Yes, I agree with you. So you have this concert that's coming up in Senatobia, February 22nd. Tell me what fans can expect.
2 hours of music, an hour with a 20-minute intermission, followed by another hour. I like to go retro. I like to start with our surfing song, Surfing Safari, Catch a Wave, Hawaii. We do a song by the Ramones called Rockaway Beach, and ended up with Surfing USA. And that really gets the crowd into it and moving. Then we go to slow songs, Surfer Girl, and then maybe some car songs. You never know. And then we'll get to our Pet Sound stuff. We'll get to our, you know, our Good Vibrations for sure. And Kokomo was said to be the biggest hit the Beach Boys ever had, and that was #1 in 1988. And so we're just blessed with a whole bunch of music, and people still like to hear it, and we still love to do it.
Do you ever mentor anybody that is up and coming in the industry, or do you ever talk to people, aspiring artists out there? And if so, what do you tell them?
Well, I tell them, in my case, I had my cousin Brian, who was very gifted. He'd sit at the piano and figure out chord progressions and harmonies. Like, it was incredible. He became fascinated, and so did I, by a group called the Four Freshmen, who had this 4-part harmony. So we put that 4-part harmony on top of the rock beat, whether it be slow, medium, or fast. And Chuck Berry was a tremendous influence. And you know, the Everly Brothers were a tremendous influence. Their blend was fascinating. And so we tried to blend with the 4-part harmony, which distinguishes the Beach Boys from many other groups' sound. Because Brian would do that high part, I would do the low part on the harmonies. But since we wrote songs together, I would usually end up singing the lead because we'd be working it out at the piano. And so all these years later, because of the love of music and the love of harmonies, that's the essential secret ingredient of the Beach Boys. That's why it lasts for multiple generations.
I love it. I love it, Mike. Thanks for opening up. I got to ask you this, because someone with the kind of library that the Beach Boys has, there's got to be, you know, ebbs and flows during the concert and all that. Is there one song that you just love performing more than any other song on stage? And if so, tell me what that song is and tell me why you love it.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the songs that we do it's not the biggest hit in the world, but my cousin Brian and I got together for a writing session in November of 1963. And we wrote this song, which is a very haunting melody and beautiful. I came up with the lyrics, he came up with the harmonies and the music. We worked on the harmonies together, obviously, but we were awakened in the morning after writing this song to the news that President Kennedy had been taken to the hospital in Dallas. So we know what happened there. But when we do that song, it's called The Warmth of the Sun. It's about the loss of a love. Now, you were in love with somebody, but they didn't feel the same way that they once did, perhaps. So it was never going to happen. But at least you had the feeling of having been in love, the euphoria that comes along with that. And we recorded that. We didn't change the words to conform to what happened in Dallas, but we did it about a month after that tragedy. And it's still charged with a ton of emotion for me.
I love that story. Thank you so much. What are you listening to these days? Any contemporary music?
Well, you know, there are always going to be great artists in every generation, but I'll tell you honestly, I love to hear our songs on Sirius XM, you know, or the local oldies station, you know. I guess it's, you know, just curiosity if they're going to play our songs, and they do, which is amazing and great. So, but I like a guy like Bruno Mars. He's so commercial and so successful and everything. We met him when he was a little kid in his daddy's cover band in Hawaii when we performed in Hawaii. So I guess there's a long time emotional attachment with us. But you know, we're buddies. I was buddies with Marvin Gaye, and there's no greater body of music than the Motown. You know, the Beatles and the Beach Boys get a lot of I guess, recognition for their songs from the 60s, but Motown, fantastic, unbelievable. They're great. And, you know, I'm just a fan of all kinds of music, except for the electro stuff. If it doesn't have a melody and if it doesn't have lyrics you can understand, and if it doesn't have harmonies and stuff, maybe it's not for me.
I got you. I follow you 100%. Final thing, you know, we broadcast to thousands of people all across Memphis and the Mid-South. Anything you want to say to them?
We love being back to the Mid-South, that is for sure. We had such great times, such great fans. I mean, I have Elvis's wedding jacket that you know that they where he used to get outfitted. You know, they gave me one. It was really nice. Anyway, we're looking forward to Senatobia. We've been all over the place, you know, George, what was it, Germantown, we all over Mississippi. I mean, we go every year, it seems, to Cruising the Coast in October, which is a fantastic thing. All those classic cars we sang about and more are cruising down the street. So, you know, it's just going to be like old times coming back to the area.
Fantastic. The Beach Boys, Mike Love, going to be in Senatobia, Mississippi, February 22nd at the Heidel Center, 7:30. Mark it down on your calendar. Mike, it's always such a pleasure to talk with you. Congratulations on an amazing, legendary career, and enjoy yourself February 22nd.
Thank you. And the woman who preceded me, the doctor,
yeah.
We'd had a song called Busy Doing Nothing. And I meditate
well said,
every
Mike.
day. I meditate every day, learn from Maharishi, and been doing it since December of '67. So it really, what she was talking about, that peace and quiet, does help things a lot.
Absolutely, 100%. Couldn't agree more. Mike Love on the digital desk. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ellen, let's hear from you.
There we are. Good morning, folks. Mic check. How's that?
Okay, good. We're good.
Okay.
Awesome. I love it. You're in the kitchen. Love it.
Hey, now. I figured, you know, of all the rooms, might as well.
Okay, we're 30 seconds out. Stand by. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I am joined by food reporter with the Commercial Appeal. We have Ellen Chamberlain joining us, and she is in the kitchen right now, and she's got a couple of different segments going on about a culinary series that you have at Commercial Appeal. Also, you have food businesses as well. These are Black-owned restaurants, Black-owned businesses. Good morning, Ellen. Take it from here. Tell me where to go, because I know I teased this earlier this morning, Ellen, and I said, be careful, because when you watch, you're going to get hungry.
That's exactly right, Andrew. Good morning to you. Good morning, Memphis and the Mid-South. Yeah, it's Black History Month. And in a city like Memphis, where it kind of feels like every day is a day to celebrate Black history, we still wanted to, of course, highlight this month and talk about some of the Black Memphians in culinary spaces. So you're right, I've been doing this series, and each week at the Commercial Appeal, we're highlighting Black professionals in the culinary industry here in Memphis. So week one was all about Black-owned food businesses. So the first person I found was Dr. Tarsha Gillum Parrish over at Sister Soul Seasoning. What's so cool to me about her company is, she's not FedEx, she's not AutoZone, but she is a nationally distributed brand headquartered right here in Memphis, Tennessee. She's got seasonings for everything from, your all-purpose stuff that you put on all your meat to very specific chitterling seasoning. So if that's something that, hits your holiday tables or just your Sunday table after church, Sister Soul Seasoning has something for you. In addition to that, I found Kay's Pints and Soups in Whitehaven, which is also distributed regionally. But Kay has so many different flavors. I think she's up to over 20 flavors of ice cream now. She does have a production kitchen in Whitehaven where she does have it open on Saturdays if you'd like to go get yourself a pint. But she's over in Miss Cordelia's and some other stores in the Mid-South. So if you just head on over to her website, Kay's Prince and Foods, she'll let you know all the places where you can go check her out. And then, of course, we also wanted to highlight Chef Tam because many people think of Chef Tam and they think of the food that she's preparing, right? The restaurants that she's had here in the city. But folks sometimes forget that Chef Tam has an entire line of cookware and spices. So check out her cast iron cookware on her website. It's so cool. Some of it is kind of like double use. She's got this cool Dutch oven cast iron skillet that I haven't seen on the market outside of her. So we definitely wanted to highlight them for Black History Month. And then the following week, we moved on, and I was talking about some folks on the rise. Andrew, have you heard of Desmond Robinson, otherwise known as Chef D. Arthur?
I don't think I have, but I'm curious. And how long has she been here? Do we know?
So Desmond Robinson is born and bred in Memphis, Tennessee. We were just joking about a milestone birthday that's coming up for him later on this year. But Desmond Robinson, Chef D. Arthur, just made like really, really big headlines in November, I believe, because he catered for Sherry Shepherd of The Sherry Show and got a live TV shout out from Sherry Shepherd herself for his culinary skills. So he's definitely someone we want to be watching. And he's supposed to be coming out with a monthly culinary series on his social media. Someone else who we are watching right now is the ladies over at TNT Explosive Eats. Those ladies are a catering company based here in the city. That's Latanya Rains over on the left, and I've got Tori on the right of TNT. And those ladies are doing something really cool with their catering business right now. Now, of course, they do all the typical stuff. You need food, you need beverage. They've got that for you. But lately, they've been doing these really cool packages where they're also providing decor for a room. If you're doing a special something for a birthday, they just had a cool thing for Valentine's Day. TNT Explosive Eats is doing things like that. And then finally, when it came down to the list of culinary professionals who we were watching, if you have to consult my own list here, we were also sitting down and talking to Chef Jordan Carpenter. Breakfast, I'm sure I've probably already mentioned this, is my favorite meal of the day. So I've fallen in love with the Garden Brunch Cafe in downtown Memphis on South Main Street, where the head chef is the young 26-year-old phenom, Jordan Carpenter. Jordan does some amazing things in that kitchen. The banana foster pancakes make me so happy. So we took a moment to highlight him and the short journey that he's had that really started in childhood. He started entering commercial kitchens when he was 10, thanks to his parents being restaurateurs. And then, talking about where he expects to go. And it doesn't stop there. For the rest of Black History Month, we will be highlighting some food truck owners later on this week. And next week, looking at some of the city chefs and restaurateurs. And then I've got this huge list of more than 100 Black-owned restaurants, catering companies, and other food-related businesses over at the Commercial Appeal. So please check those out and patronize those businesses. Those are our friends and our neighbors, and they're doing some amazing things in the kitchen. It's not just for decoration like this.
I love it. I love it. Commercial Appeal and commercialappeal.com. We appreciate it. Ellen Chamberlain, what a great list there. And I love seeing everybody local just, stepping up and making it happen in such a great foodie town. Ellen, thank you.
Thank you. Have a beautiful day.
Okay, you do the same. Thanks. All right, right now we're looking at 32 degrees, kind of cloudy out there, but here's the thing. We are expecting some major snow headed to the Mid-South. Let's talk about it in 60 seconds on Action News 5's Digital Desk.
Hopefully you're having a great start to your Tuesday throughout the Mid-South. I'm meteorologist Eric Brill in for meteorologist Patrick Ellis. We are expecting dry weather conditions to be around during the AM hours and even into the early PM hours. Notice by 2 p.m., 40 degrees, but not expecting any showers. It really is after about 3 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That is when those showers will start to approach the Mid-South and eventually move through the Mid-South here, especially between 10 p.m. on Tuesday night into 4 a.m. on Wednesday morning. 41 degrees, the expected high temperature for Memphis, 41 for Selmer, 36 for Brownsville, and 33 for Ripley, Tennessee. Ripley, Mississippi looking to top off at 43, 41 in Corinth, 43 in Oxford, 43 in Clarksdale, and 41 in Tunica. Mostly cloudy skies, dry weather conditions expected really throughout the day here in northern Mississippi. Finally, northeast Arkansas expecting temperatures to have a little bit of a range here, a little bit colder to the north, some lower 30s, while some lower 40s will make a reappearance into Phillips County for Helena, West Helena under mostly cloudy skies. Now, down the road, we do have the winter storm warnings and the winter weather advisories that are in place for all the Mid-South here. Typically, winter storm warnings mean a little more snow, winter weather advisories a little less snow, and I think that's going to be the case here as far as who's within the warning and who's in the advisory. Those areas in pink are in the warning, and everybody else is within the advised areas. These are set to expire here on Wednesday morning, whether it be at 6 a.m. or noon, and if you do get the notifications from the First Alert Weather app here, you will be seeing any sort of new updates that do come about here around the Mid-South, whether it be snow accumulations, warnings, advisories, even if it doesn't pertain to this given storm system. Now, the precipitation type here, we do expect a little bit of a mix to get this started, but we are going to see some colder conditions or colder temperatures start to build in as Tuesday evening turns into Wednesday morning. That will result in that snow line dropping itself down to the south, and everybody will be seeing some snow flying around here for Wednesday morning. When can you start to see these showers approach the Mid-South and move through the Mid-South? Into northeast Arkansas between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m., in the heart of the Mid-South between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m., and off to the east here, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. is more your time frame, and the snow shower activity, it will be around here for a few hours, really about a 12-hour span from the time it gets started until the time it comes to a completion. Futurecast data agrees with pretty much everything noted here. Quiet conditions really till about 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And even then, it really is just northeast Arkansas getting in on the snow action and the shower activity. 6 o'clock in the evening, it's possible we might not even have seen snow showers yet for Memphis. But notice it's not really too far to the north where some of those snow showers will start to engulf, including Dyersburg, Blytheville, Brownsville, over into Ripley. And then the deeper we go into the evening and eventually to the overnight hours, the more these showers will start to spread. By midnight, notice 278 from Clarksdale to Batesville, Oxford, even over to Tupelo. The snow showers are falling here, so we're keeping our fingers crossed we won't have to deal with any sort of frozen precipitation as far as freezing rain goes. And I don't really think that's a big threat here for this given winter weather event. By 5 o'clock in the morning, the majority of the Mid-South is going to be dry except closer to the Tennessee River. And by 8 a.m., this is pretty much all set and done. But notice our temperatures. They will be in the upper teens and lower 20s. When can you expect these showers to come to an end? 2 to 5 a.m. in northeast Arkansas, 3 to 6 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday for Shelby County, into Tipton County, Lauderdale County, even down to the south for Tunica, as well as DeSoto and Tate counties. Finally, off to the east, 5 a.m. to 8 a.m., closer to the Tennessee River. Snow totals out of this have adjusted this a little bit, maybe a little less snow, especially along and south of I-40. A little less moisture looks like it will be in play. Up to the north, Dyersburg, Blytheville, Alamo, Ripley, 3 to 6 inches. Just south of that for Covington, Wynne, as well as Arlington towards Lakeland, and even into Millington, about 2 to 4 inches. South of that, 1 to 3 inches, including the city of Memphis, Hernando, Olive Branch, Eads, even into Forest City, West Memphis, and Mariana. South of that, a dusting to 2 inches of snow for Helena, West Helena, Clarksdale, as well as Oxford, Batesville, Ripley, Tennessee, and for Tupelo. Behind this, the big thing is going to be our temperatures. It is going to be frigid around the Mid-South on Wednesday, Thursday, and even into Friday. Anything that does fall, it's really going to hang around here for the next few days. 26 for a high on Wednesday, 22 for Thursday, 33 degrees for Friday, and it won't be until Sunday and Monday before we start to return to near average. So if you're a cold weather fan, hey, this is right down your alley, but I'd imagine this is probably even a little extreme for you. There is a 90% chance of showers from Tuesday into Wednesday. We do have that first alert weather day for Wednesday with the winter weather impacts and with those cold conditions as well. Afternoon highs in the middle to lower 20s on Wednesday and Thursday. Isolated showers are possible for Saturday. Not really too excited about that yet. And if I had to pick a day for the weekend, it certainly would be Sunday over Saturday just because it will be warmer. But hey, at least Monday, early next week, does look to be pretty solid with afternoon highs back in the lower 60s.
Exciting for the city of Memphis.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. A 2023 Federal Trade Commission report revealed that consumers have reported losing a staggering $2.7 billion to social media scams since 2021. I am joined on the Action News 5 Digital Desk by best-selling financial author and former CNBC host Farnoosh Torabi. She has dedicated her career to helping people live their healthiest financial lives, which includes safeguarding them against scams of all varieties. And Farnoosh, good morning to you. Where do we begin? Are there some outline or underlying themes that we should think about when we go online to avoid being scammed? Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, I think I want to focus today on the social media scams because what we're finding is that the rise in these types of scams is huge. Based on JP Morgan Chase data, nearly 50% of scams that are reported to Chase by their customers are originating on social media. And a lot of these scammers are asking for payments through Zelle or wire transfers. So I want to start there because this is where we're spending a lot of time and this is where a lot of the scams are happening. The types of scams that we're seeing run rampant right now on social media marketplaces include rental property listings, home services, pets, and event tickets like concert tickets. What typically happens is you'll see a listing for, let's say, a rental property and it's really low, like you're really not sure what is going on, and you get a little bit, reeled in. The seller insists that you pay through a very specific type of payment that's not coming with any sort of payment protection. And then, of course, what happens is, you don't get the product, or if you do, you're very unhappy.
I get it. Yeah, it's I can totally see how this happens. Let's talk about maybe a scam prevention checklist. Just ways to identify fraudulent marketplace interactions, Farouche.
So number one, if it's too good to be true, the price is too wildly low, I think that's a huge red flag. Do some research, but better yet, just walk away. Two, don't fall for a sense of false urgency. A lot of times these scammers will say, you got to buy now, it's going to expire. That's a tactic that they use to get you to buy feverishly, with your dopamine levels running high. And then we often make irrational purchasing choices in those moments. And then they're also going to insist on very specific payment terms. Like you have to pay with Zelle or you have to do a wire transfer. That's a red flag.
Those are all really good tips here. What about a guide to making safe online transactions, excuse me, and how to
transactions,
make it safely?
purchases.
Yes.
Yeah, this is the most important piece of the process. So if you're about to make a purchase on a social media marketplace, then use a credit card because we know that comes with purchase protection. If anything happens, you have protection. I think on the other hand, Zelle, where a lot of times they're insisting you pay with, that's better for buying, sending money and receiving money with friends and family and loved ones. A lot of times these scammers will insist on Zelle, they'll insist on wire transfers, even gift cards are a popular way to lure people in to use their gift cards to pay for things. And we know gift cards don't have purchase protection. So really important that you read the terms, the terms of whatever payment platform you're using, and proceed with caution.
Farnoosh, what else can we talk about when it comes to being and avoiding those scams on social media?
I think slowing down is really important. These scammers are betting that we're going to get reeled in. We're not going to do our research. We're going to make a quick purchase. And so, understand that. And so ahead of that, do the research, slow down. I would go off social media actually and do some research. If you're looking at a listing online on a social media marketplace, if there is a name associated with this, if there is a brand or an email, even go on to a search engine and search these items with the word fraud or reviews and just see what comes up. A lot of times consumers will report incidences of fraud. So then they're protecting us and we can get ahead of it.
Farnoosh Torabi, we really appreciate your time. These are great tips and news you can use on the Action News 5 digital desk. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Action News 5 digital desk. Well, chances are perhaps you or maybe a family member has struggled with addiction when it comes to your phone. And when I talk about your phone, I'm talking specifically social media. It can affect everything. It can affect all parts of your life, your mental health, your relationships with others, your overall well-being. On the Action News 5 digital desk, I want to do a little bit of a deep dive here on social media addiction. I am joined right now on the digital desk by University of Memphis, Missouri alum, former Laker girl, someone who admittedly had struggles with social media. I'm proud to bring on the Action News 5 digital desk, Teague Dooley-Panko, and she is someone who really struggled with social media and has written a book about ways to detox from social media. Teague, it's good to have you on the digital desk. So first, tell me about your relationship with social media and when did it go south? Good morning.
Hi, Andrew. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. And this is such an important conversation, so I really appreciate you giving us the opportunity to chat about it. Um, Social media has been in my life for years, but I really noticed that it got bad when I was a Laker girl, as you mentioned. And when I stopped my time as a Laker girl, I really noticed, first of all, I had a total identity crisis to begin with. And then when it came to social media, I started thinking, wait a second, do people even care what I post anymore? Do people care if I, why are people following me on social media? And then I had a real, come to Jesus moment where I realized I was addicted to this validation of social media and these likes and curating a perfect feed. And I'm a perfectionist already. So adding social media as fuel to the fire to that issue was a dangerous combination. So I realized I was addicted. I had a dependency on social media and I was spending so much time on it. I was waking up, looking at my social media feed. I would go to work, look at my social media feed. At the end of the day, I would come home, look at my social media feed. And at a certain point, I almost felt like I was hovering above my body because I was so addicted to looking at these platforms and not even living my life. And so, yeah, that's when I noticed I had a problem. And I said, I have to do something about it. So that's when I came up with this idea of the social media detox. And yeah, and so I started talking to a lot of professionals, a lot of people that are way smarter than me, doctors, therapists, academic leaders, and we kind of came up with this product, which is a 14-day social media detox. Every day we talk about different triggers of social media, and then there's different challenges, light reading, and an evening journal prompt. So at the end of the 14 days, hopefully you'll feel less dependent.
Yeah. So I was going to jump in a little bit, Teague, and just ask you a little bit about it. So I know that you interviewed a ton of professionals for this social media detox. Tell me, what is the reason, and feel free to weigh in your own opinion, why do you think people, because your story is not uncommon, I can guarantee it, why do you think people are so addicted to social media? Is it the endorphins? Is it the notifications? What are those health professionals telling you?
Well, there's absolutely a link to dopamine. And especially, these social media platforms are made like a slot machine, right? So you're always just looking for that next best thing. It's a never-ending scroll to find something that excites you and gets your dopamine going. Whether that's, feeling jealous or feeling the fear of being left out, FOMO. You're always looking for something to make you feel something, whether it's good or bad or whatever. And so, yeah, we talked a lot about dopamine and the way that social media really feeds into that. And so that's one of the things that I thought was really interesting. There's also a concept called anhedonia, which is that feeling of addiction that is sometimes referred to when people are talking about substance abuse. But basically, it's this idea of being so addicted to something that you no longer feel excited about living life in the real world. And I feel like I am guilty of feeling that when it comes to social media. I spend so much time on social media. Getting out in the real world feels less appealing because it's like I have everything I need at my fingertips. It's this idea of feeling social, but you're not really being social. You feel it's this very strange phenomenon. So yes, there's a lot of science to it.
Yeah. Okay, so Teague, let me ask you this, because we have thousands of people that watch us here on the digital desk. If there are warning signs, if you could name maybe 2 or 3 warning signs that you would give to someone that says, okay, wait a second, you have an addiction to social media, what would be those warning signs? Name like 2 or 3.
I think there are a few. One is waking up and feeling that compulsion, feeling compelled to reach for your phone right away. Same thing with like going to bed if you don't feel like you can go to bed without scrolling through TikTok or Instagram. And I get it. I've done the same thing. But having that compulsion, I think that's the first step, just knowing like, oh wait, why am I reaching for this? And so a lot of the social media detox is just like being more mindful and like realizing, oh, why am I opening my phone? Do I need to answer something? Do I need to look at an email or a DM or whatever? Or am I just looking at it to feel something? And I think that that's where I think if we can start becoming more mindful, that is really helpful. But yeah, I think it's just that compulsion and not wanting to do things in the real world. I think that's another sign. Like if I am, instead of going out with my friends, actually what sounds more fun is scrolling on TikTok, that's a problem too. I think there are signs like if I don't want to, that actual interaction in the world is, that's a sign.
Yeah, I get it. So listen, I don't want to give the whole book away, Teague, but if you could give us some ideas, take me through this 14-day detox program.
Absolutely, Andrew. Okay, my first day is actually one of my favorite days to talk about. It talks about phone proximity. So day one talks all about the idea of having your phone in your sight line, in your eye line during the day actually subconsciously tricks your brain into thinking about your phone, which I think is really interesting. So the first challenge on day one is putting that phone out of sight. So putting that phone in a bag or maybe in a drawer. And obviously some people have different jobs, they need it closer. I'm sure you can't put your phone in a drawer. But it's the idea of putting that phone out of your immediate eye line, and that really affects the way that you think subconsciously. So it helps you focus better, it helps you get things done, it helps you just not be subconsciously thinking about that phone. And I think that also can be applicable to when you go to bed at night. I started when I did the detox, and now I still have kept this habit. I put my phone in another room while I'm sleeping, and I have an alarm clock, just bought a little alarm clock online. And so as a result, I don't look at my phone until probably 30 minutes or an hour into my day, because the only thing I needed it for in the morning was that alarm. But prior to doing the detox, I was looking at my phone first thing in the morning, and then immediately it's just too easy to be like, let me just really quickly check Instagram. Let me just really quickly check my email. But there's a lot of science and studies that suggest that if you wake up in the morning and immediately, expose yourself to news or stressful things like that, emails and Instagram or things like that, it's bad for your sleep, it's bad for your mental health, and then the whole day you're thinking about things that you looked at the first thing when you woke up. So yeah, phone proximity, is one of my favorite ones. That's day one.
Okay, and then give me one other point that's good, because I love the idea of the phone just being out of sight, out of because a lot of times it's out of sight, out of mind. You're not going to see it, therefore you don't think about it.
Totally, absolutely. Well, another day that I'm really proud of and I'm really excited about is, of course, FOMO is something we've heard about for years, this fear of missing out. And so that's one of the days. And then the challenge that day is to start making social plans. So start making real plans with people who you haven't seen in a while. And, one thing you'll notice if you do the social media detox is you have way more time to do things and to make plans than you realized when you were on social media. So that's one of the days is reaching out to people who you haven't seen in a while, who you've been like, oh, let's get lunch. And then you kick it down the road. We've all done that. So it's like really reaching out to those people, making plans. There's even a bonus challenge, which is to go buy tickets to an event or maybe something you want to do, maybe a show a few months in advance. And then you don't have to have someone lined up to go with you, but just having that plan in your calendar, first of all, is exciting and creates serotonin. And we know that that's really good for your brain, is to anticipate fun stuff. But then also it challenges you in the future to say, hey, I've got 2 tickets to this thing. And then it gives you an excuse to reach out to friends and say, hey, I bought tickets to this event, this show, this concert. I'd love to take you. And then that just kind of gets you out in the real world. And then instead of these feelings of feeling left out or feeling, missing out, you are making plans in the real world, and then you don't focus on that as much. So yeah, that's another day that I'm really excited about.
I love it, Teague. And again, it is the social media detox written by Teague Dooley-Pankow, joining us on the Action News 5 digital desk. Teague, I'll give you the final word here. What is the underlying theme you'd like our audience to know about what you went through, the struggles with social media addiction, and how to break free?
Yeah, I think the underlying thing is that there is light at the end of the tunnel. I think we've all kind of been just thrown into this world of digital media and social media and our phones. I mean, even from 10 years ago, our life looks so different. And I think we all were thrown into it without really knowing what the consequences were. I think now we have a lot more science and a lot more research is coming out about how it is affecting us. And I think that, now finally we're starting to have conversations about it. And that's why I feel very lucky to be working in this space, to have created the digital media detox, the social media detox, because I just feel like at least if we can start talking about it, we can all realize we're in this together. There are solutions, there are ways to feel better and feel less dependent on these digital devices, because for a while it felt like they were taking over. But I feel like it's time for us to take our power back.
Amen, Teague. Thank you so much. And people can buy your book on Amazon and other platforms?
Yes, it will be officially published on Amazon on February 18th. So I'm very excited about that. And it'll be great. We also have a podcast that we're doing. So all the doctors and the brain surgeons that we interviewed, that will also be online as well. So yeah, we're really excited about it.
All right, Teague Dooley-Pankow, very important conversation to talk about with how to break free from our social media addictions out there. We really appreciate your time on the digital desk. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andrew. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Hopefully you're having a great start to your Tuesday throughout the Mid-South. I'm meteorologist Eric Brill in for meteorologist Patrick Ellis. We are expecting dry weather conditions to be around during the AM hours and even into the early PM hours. Notice by 2 p.m., 40 degrees, but not expecting any showers. It really is out there about 3 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That is when those showers will start to approach the Mid-South and eventually move through the Mid-South here, especially between 10 p.m. on Tuesday night into 4 a.m. on Wednesday morning. 41 degrees, the expected high temperature for Memphis, 41 for Selmer, 36 for Brownsville, and 33 for Ripley, Tennessee. Ripley, Mississippi looking to top off at 43, 41 in Corinth, 43 in Oxford, 43 in Clarksdale, and 41 in Tunica. Mostly cloudy skies, dry weather conditions expected really throughout the day here in northern Mississippi. Finally, northeast Arkansas expecting temperatures to have a little bit of a range here, a little bit colder to the north, some lower 30s, while some lower 40s will make a reappearance into Phillips County for Helena, West Helena under mostly cloudy skies. Now, down the road, we do have the winter storm warnings and the winter weather advisories that are in place for all the Mid-South here. Typically, winter storm warnings mean a little more snow, winter weather advisories a little less snow, and I think that's going to be the case here as far as who's within the warning and who's in the advisory. Those areas in pink are in the warning, and everybody else is within the advised areas. These are set to expire here on Wednesday morning, whether it be at 6 a.m. or noon, and if you do get the notifications from the First Alert Weather app here, you will be seeing any sort of new updates that do come about here around the Mid-South, whether it be snow accumulations, warnings, advisories, even if it doesn't pertain to this given storm system. Now, the precipitation type here, we do expect a little bit of a mix to get this started. But we are going to see some colder conditions or colder temperatures start to build in as Tuesday evening turns into Wednesday morning. That will result in that snow line dropping itself down to the south, and everybody will be seeing some snow flying around here for Wednesday morning. When can you start to see these showers approach the Mid-South and move through the Mid-South? Into northeast Arkansas between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m., in the heart of the Mid-South between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m., and off to the east here, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. is more your time frame. And the snow shower activity, it will be around here for a few hours, really about a 12-hour span from the time it gets started until the time it comes to a completion. Futurecast data agrees with pretty much everything noted here. Quiet conditions really till about 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and even then, it really is just northeast Arkansas getting in on the snow action and the shower activity. 6 o'clock in the evening, it's possible we might not even have seen snow showers yet for Memphis, but notice it's not really too far to the north where some of those snow showers will start to engulf, including Dyersburg, Blytheville, Brownsville, over into Ripley, and then the deeper we go into the evening and eventually to the overnight hours, the more these showers will start to spread. By midnight, notice 278 from Clarksdale to Batesville, Oxford, even over to Tupelo. The snow showers are falling here, so we're keeping our fingers crossed we won't have to deal with any sort of frozen precipitation as far as freezing rain goes. And I don't really think that's a big threat here for this given winter weather event. By 5 o'clock in the morning, the majority of the Mid-South is going to be dry except closer to the Tennessee River. And by 8 a.m., this is pretty much all said and done. But notice our temperatures. They will be in the upper teens and lower 20s. When can you expect these showers to come to an end? 2 to 5 a.m. in northeast Arkansas, 3 to 6 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday for Shelby County, into Tipton County, Lauderdale County, even down to the south for Tunica, as well as DeSoto and Tate counties. Finally, off to the east, 5 a.m. to 8 a.m., closer to the Tennessee River. Snow totals out of this have adjusted this a little bit, maybe a little less snow, especially along and south of I-40, a little less moisture looks like it will be in play. Up to the north, Dyersburg, Blytheville, Alamo, Ripley, 3 to 6 inches. Just south of that for Covington, Wynne, as well as Arlington towards Lakeland, and even into Millington, about 2 to 4 inches. South of that, 1 to 3 inches, including the city of Memphis, Hernando, Olive Branch, Eads, even into Forest City, West Memphis, and Mariana. South of that, a dusting to 2 inches of snow for Helena, West Helena, Clarksdale, as well as Oxford, Batesville, Ripley, Tennessee, and for Tupelo. Behind this, the big thing is going to be your temperatures. It is going to be frigid around the Mid-South on Wednesday, Thursday, and even into Friday. Anything that does fall, it's really going to hang around here for the next few days. 26 for a high on Wednesday, 22 for Thursday, 33 degrees for Friday, and it won't be until Sunday and Monday before we start to return to near average. So if you're a cold weather fan, hey, this is right down your alley, but I'd imagine this is probably even a little extreme for you. There is a 90% chance of showers from Tuesday into Wednesday. We do have that first alert weather day for Wednesday with the winter weather impacts and with those cold conditions as well. Afternoon highs in the middle to lower 20s on Wednesday and Thursday. Isolated showers are possible for Saturday. Not really too excited about that yet. And if I had to pick a day for the weekend, it certainly would be Sunday over Saturday just because it will be warmer. But hey, at least Monday, early next week, does look to be pretty solid with afternoon highs back in the lower 60s.
Good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. I'm Andrew Douglas, and I'm joined now by Reef Faberman, the Trust for America's Health Director of Strategic Communications and Policy Research. Good morning to you. Let's talk a little bit about this new report that I'm hearing about epidemics of alcohol, drug, and suicide deaths. And give me the facts and the findings that surround this report. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. Yeah, this is an annual report that Trust for America Health does, and we track the number of deaths due to alcohol, drugs, and suicide, both at the national level and at the state level. And there's some good news at both of those levels, although the number of deaths over the last 2 decades has really increased at very alarming rates. We're up 142% in these deaths, alcohol, drug, and suicide deaths over the last 2 decades. So we have a lot of work to do. But for the very latest data, which is for 2022, there is a glimmer of some good news. Nationally, alcohol drugs are down 6%. And in Tennessee, these deaths due to alcohol, drugs, and suicide are down across the board. Your alcohol deaths are down 2%, your drug overdose deaths are down 1%, and your suicide deaths are down 2%. So that's good news. However, we also need to remember that even with these reductions, over 6,400 people have died in Tennessee in 2022 from substance abuse or suicide.
How much is this related to the pandemic? I mean, I know we've been out of the pandemic now, but how much is it related to that?
Yeah, it's a good question because there is data that suggests that when we were able to come out of the pandemic, the public health emergency ended, people were able to get back to a more normal routine, going to an office, going to work, being able to socialize, going out to restaurants, etc. That helped people's sense of social isolation, any loneliness, because we did see very high increases, double-digit increases in alcohol and suicide deaths in 2020 and 2021. Now we see kind of a leveling off in 2022. So the end of the pandemic probably did impact these numbers.
So we have these numbers. They're extremely high, even though they aren't as high as they have been in the past. They are still extremely high. How do we bring it down?
Yeah, it's important to remember that even though we have seen a leveling off, the numbers across the last 2 decades are just astronomically high. So we need to do a couple of things. We need to invest in prevention programs and in the community conditions that allow people to thrive. We need to invest in harm reduction programs, things like readily available naloxone. Naloxone is a overdose reversal drug medication, and that needs to be readily available in communities. Fentanyl test strips need to be readily available in communities. Fentanyl is the largest driver of drug overdose. We also need to ensure that we have a mental health system in this country and a substance abuse prevention system that is large enough to meet all the need and that has the diversity and the language skills and the understanding of individual community culture to allow it to be really welcoming to anyone who needs help and effective for anyone who needs help.
What else can we talk about with regards to this study? And, you know, we've addressed this problem, this issue. It's still a mess when it comes to our area of West Tennessee and North Mississippi, Eastern Arkansas. What else can we talk about with solutions here?
Yeah, I would again point to the importance of a mental health services system that is as large as the scope of the problem. Many Americans, 53% of Americans, live in mental health workforce shortage areas, which means that if a person needs some kind of mental health services or substance abuse prevention services, they're likely put on a waiting list and they have to wait until they can get the services they need. That's something that really needs to be addressed. We also need to invest in prevention programs in schools. Schools are such a natural place to be able to help kids, to understand who needs help and the kind of help they need. So prevention programs in school, programs that teach coping skills and teach resilience, also very important.
Okay, Ms. Farberman, thank you so much for joining us on the Digital Desk. We appreciate your time and really just kind of analyzing this latest study that shows some progression, but still we got a long, long way to go. Thank you. Well, good morning. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. February is American Heart Month. Heart disease, of course, the #1 killer in all of adults. #1 killer for women, #1 killer for men. And it is something where we need to know about the signs, the symptoms that may indicate heart disease, which groups of people are most at risk, and what screenings are best to detect heart disease. So let's talk about that and more with our next guest. I'm joined now by Dr. Tanya Elliott. She is a dual board certified physician in internal medicine and allergy immunology. She joins us on the digital desk now. Dr. Elliott, thank you. So where do we go when it comes to heart health? What is the #1, in your opinion, the #1 thing we can do to prevent heart disease? Good morning.
Yeah. Good morning. Let's get into it. I think the #1 thing we can do is understand that symptoms of a heart attack are very different in men than in women. And Doctors Best commissioned a study of over 2,000 women. 50% of women say, hey, if I can't see it, I'm not going to do anything about it if I can't see it or I can't feel it. Well, people are often thinking if crushing chest pain, right? That's a sign of a heart attack. But in women, it is different. Indigestion or heartburn, dizziness, lightheadedness, neck pain, jaw pain, shoulder pain. Those are the signs of a heart attack in women.
So, Dr. Elliott, interesting that there's so many different signs there. Let me ask you this. There was apparently a health survey done. Can you highlight some of the survey results when it comes to heart health?
Yes. So 75% of women didn't even know their risk of a heart attack. Again, 50% of women said, I'm not going to do anything about it if I can't see it or I can't feel it, which is why that education about how a heart attack presents in women is so important. And then this other statistic, which is 2/3 of women say, hey, I got to take care of my family. I'm not going to be worrying about myself.
Let me ask you this. When it comes to signs and symptoms, can you give us some basic idea of what kind of signs and symptoms to watch out for and which tests really show them conclusively?
Yeah, so again, in women, the signs of a heart attack are different. If you feel indigestion or heartburn, if all of a sudden you're experiencing weird jaw pain that you haven't had before, or neck pain or shoulder pain, or you're starting to have these spells of dizziness or lightheadedness, don't ignore them, especially if you are peri or postmenopausal, because estrogen is protective of the heart and we lose our estrogen as we go through menopause. So that increases the heart attack risk in women exponentially. It also increases stroke risk. Also, Black Americans are 20% higher risk of having a heart attack or a 40% higher risk of having a stroke. So that's really important population to be aware and look at. And then also if you have a family history.
What about preventative steps? I know we always hear diet and exercise. Can we go a little bit deeper than that?
Yeah, let's talk about diet and specifically vitamin K2, which is really important for the flexibility of our arteries. So green leafy vegetables like kale are helpful for that, cruciferous vegetables as well. But we often don't get enough vitamin K2 in our diet. I am a fan of Doctor's Best. They have a women's heart complex supplement, and it contains vitamin K2, coenzyme Q10, which is something that our body naturally produces, but that decreases over time, and flaxseed, which is high in antioxidants and omega-3s.
Anything else you want to mention, Dr. Elliott, before we let you go?
Protein is important in our diet. Remember, our heart is a muscle. And also strength training exercise. So walking is really important in getting those steps in, but I recommend strength training 3 times a week for any woman who's postmenopausal.
Okay, Dr. Tanya Elliott joining us on the Action News 5 digital desk, with February being American Heart Month, #1 killer of women and men, heart disease. We appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to the Action News 5 Digital Desk. Well, I want to tell you about a brand new NBC drama that is premiering in just a few days. It's called Grosse Pointe Garden Society, and it follows 4 members of a suburban garden club who find themselves intertwined by scandal, mischief, and a shared secret, which is a murder that no one wants to really talk about. I'm joined right now on the Action News 5 Digital Desk by a couple of stars of Grosse Pointe Garden Society, Ben Rappaport and Anna Sophia Robb, joining us on the Digital Desk. Thank you so much for joining us, both of you. Tell us what the audience should prepare for. Anna, let's start with you. Good morning.
Good morning. Thanks so much for having us. We're so excited for the show to premiere next Sunday. And I think what's really fun about Grosse Pointe Garden Society is I remember when I read the pilot for the first time, I just wanted to read the next episode. I couldn't wait to find out what happens with each character and who gets murdered and how and why. And it's a really gorgeous combination of drama and comedy and mystery and satire and romance, and it sort of has it all. And I think I know I can't wait to watch the episodes, and I'm in it, so I hope everyone else feels the same.
All right. Well, thank you, Anna. And Ben, over to you. I mean, what attracted you to this show?
I think it all starts with our genius creators, Jenna Bans and Bill Krebs. Every script is a real page turner, and every time I get a new script, I just can't wait for the next one. Truly, like it's the most addictive thing I've ever read. And like Anna Sophia said, I'm in it, and I'm like dying to watch this thing. So that, and then also it's just we have an incredible ensemble of people on this show, cast, crew. I've never felt so lucky to be a part of something so exciting, and I love going to work every day.
So both of you, very accomplished actors. Anna Sophia, let me ask you, I mean, what do you think will bring people back each and every week to see the latest episode? And how would you describe this show to someone that's just, walking along the street wanting to know more about what your latest show's all about?
I think what will make it fun, I think people will probably come for the mystery because there's a cliffhanger, but I think they'll stay partly for the mystery to find out what happens. But I think what ends up happening is you get really invested in each of the characters' lives. And I think with ensemble shows, there's always one storyline that people gravitate towards. But in our show, there's so many interesting storylines. And as the season unfolds, new characters are introduced, and it really fills out the full world of Grosse Pointe. And so you meet these 4 characters at the beginning, and then you start to travel down each path and get to know how everyone is connected into this sort of mysterious and spiky web. And I think that's why people will stay, because they're interesting people. The writing is fun, and I think we have a lot of terrific actors. And I know, I look forward to reading, like Ben was saying, reading each episode. And so I feel like if we're this close and we get so excited about it, I just have a feeling I think people will want to jump in and go on the ride with us.
I like that. I like that a lot. Ben, over to you. From your perspective, what was the most challenging aspect of being on set for this?
I think, funny enough, the most challenging aspect is the garden set itself. We were talking a little earlier about this. We have this gorgeous real garden that's in the back lot of the studio that we film at in Atlanta, but there is an airport right next door. So in terms of when we're rolling through takes will often be interrupted by a private plane flying overhead. So that's the biggest challenge, is sort of the delays we encounter with that. But I mean, if that's the biggest challenge, I'll take that over any other challenges, honestly.
I know we have it pretty good on this show. It's like we kind of pinch ourselves every single day because all of us have been working for a long time, and it's just one of those sets where we all come to work and the crew is amazing and our showrunners are awesome and we have fabulous directors, and we're just all having such a good time. And I look forward to watching each episode because we have different storylines, and so every time a different person comes on screen, I'm like, oh my gosh, how did their scene turn out? Like, what's happening in that section of Grosse Pointe Garden Society? And that doesn't happen with every job.
Also, you can't fake the kind of chemistry that I think is happening between all the cast members, and that stuff really bleeds through the screen. And I think audiences can really tell when it's real and when it's not. And this is real. This is a special thing we have going.
All right, Ben Rappaport and Anna Sophia Robb, we really appreciate both of you coming on the digital desk to talk about Grosse Pointe Garden Society. Looking forward to it, February 23rd on NBC. Thank you.
Hopefully you're having a great start to your Tuesday throughout the Mid-South. I'm meteorologist Eric Brill in for meteorologist Patrick Ellis. We are expecting dry weather conditions to be around during the AM hours and even into the early PM hours. Notice by 2 p.m., 40 degrees, but not expecting any showers. It really is after about 3 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That is when those showers will start to approach the Mid-South and eventually move through the Mid-South here, especially between 10 p.m. on Tuesday night into 4 a.m. on Wednesday morning. 41 degrees, the expected high temperature for Memphis, 41 for Selmer, 36 for Brownsville, and 33 for Ripley, Tennessee. Ripley, Mississippi looking to top off at 43, 41 in Corinth, 43 in Oxford, 43 in Clarksdale, and 41 in Tunica. Mostly cloudy skies, dry weather conditions expected really throughout the day here in northern Mississippi. Finally, northeast Arkansas expecting temperatures to have a little bit of a range here, a little bit colder to the north, some lower 30s, while some lower 40s will make a reappearance into Phillips County for Helena, West Helena under mostly cloudy skies. Now, down the road, we do have the winter storm warnings and the winter weather advisories that are in place for all the Mid-South here. Typically, winter storm warnings mean a little more snow, winter weather advisories a little less snow, and I think that's going to be the case here as far as who's within the warning and who's in the advisory. Those areas in pink are in the warning, and everybody else is within the advised areas. These are set to expire here on Wednesday morning, whether it be at 6 a.m. or noon, and if you do get the notifications from the First Alert Weather app here, you will be seeing any sort of new updates that do come about here around the Mid-South, whether it be snow accumulations, warnings, advisories, even if it doesn't pertain to this given storm system. Now, the precipitation type here, we do expect a little bit of a mix to get this started, but we are going to see some colder conditions or colder temperatures start to build in as Tuesday evening turns into Wednesday morning. That will result in that snow line dropping itself down to the south, and everybody will be seeing some snow flying around here for Wednesday morning. When can you start to see these showers approach the Mid-South and move through the Mid-South? Into northeast Arkansas between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m., in the heart of the Mid-South between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m., and off to the east here, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. is more your time frame. And the snow shower activity, it will be around here for a few hours, really about a 12-hour span from the time it gets started until the time it comes to a completion. Futurecast data agrees with pretty much everything noted here. Quiet conditions really till about 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And even then, it really is just northeast Arkansas getting in on the snow action and the shower activity. 6 o'clock in the evening, it's possible we might not even have seen snow showers yet for Memphis. But notice it's not really too far to the north where some of those snow showers will start to engulf, including Dyersburg, Blytheville, Brownsville, over into Ripley. And then the deeper we go into the evening and eventually to the overnight hours, the more these showers will start to spread. By midnight, notice 278 from Clarksdale to Batesville, Oxford, even over to Tupelo. The snow showers are falling here, so we're keeping our fingers crossed we won't have to deal with any sort of frozen precipitation as far as freezing rain goes. And I don't really think that's a big threat here for this given winter weather event. By 5 o'clock in the morning, the majority of the Mid-South is going to be dry except closer to the Tennessee River. And by 8 a.m., this is pretty much all set and done. But notice our temperatures. They will be in the upper teens and lower 20s. When can you expect these showers to come to an end? 2 to 5 a.m. in northeast Arkansas, 3 to 6 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday for Shelby County, into Tipton County, Lauderdale County, even down to the south for Tunica, as well as DeSoto and Tate counties. Finally, off to the east, 5 a.m. to 8 a.m., closer to the Tennessee River. Snow totals out of this have adjusted this a little bit, maybe a little less snow, especially along and south of I-40, a little less moisture looks like it will be in play. Up to the north, Dyersburg, Blytheville, Alamo, Ripley, 3 to 6 inches. Just south of that for Covington, Wynne, as well as Arlington towards Lakeland, and even into Millington, about 2 to 4 inches. South of that, 1 to 3 inches, including the city of Memphis, Hernando, Olive Branch, Eads, even into Forest City, West Memphis, and Mariana. South of that, a dusting to 2 inches of snow for Helena, West Helena, Clarksdale, as well as Oxford, Batesville, Ripley, Tennessee, and for Tupelo. Behind this, the big thing is going to be our temperatures. It is going to be frigid around the Mid-South on Wednesday, Thursday, and even into Friday. Anything that does fall, it's really going to hang around here for the next few days. 26 for a high on Wednesday, 22 for Thursday, 33 degrees for Friday, and it won't be until Sunday and Monday before we start to return to near average. So if you're a cold weather fan, hey, this is right down your alley, but I'd imagine this is probably even a little extreme for you. There is a 90% chance of showers from Tuesday into Wednesday. We do have that first alert weather day for Wednesday with the winter weather impacts and with those cold conditions as well. Afternoon highs in the middle to lower 20s on Wednesday and Thursday. Isolated showers are possible for Saturday. Not really too excited about that yet. And if I had to pick a day for the weekend, it certainly would be Sunday over Saturday just because it will be warmer. But hey, at least Monday, early next week, does look to be pretty solid with afternoon highs back in the lower 60s.
Exciting for the city of Memphis. The James Beard Awards this year, when they announced their awards, we had not one, we had not two, we had not three, but we had four chefs that were nominated for this award. And so, if you're not familiar with the James Beard Awards, this is an award that has been given. I probably should have looked this up, but it's been given for decades. It's considered like the Oscars or the Grammys for the chef world and the restaurant world, naming the best of the best. And it names people from across the country. And it's a three-part process. So in January, I believe it was January 22nd, is when this whole process began, and the semifinalists are announced. And so that happened in January. In April, the beginning of April, they will announce who are the finalists for these awards. And then the finalists will go on and compete, I guess one might say, and their awards will be announced in June. So I am very, very, very hopeful that we will have some in the mix. It's a very, very exciting thing for us. In the past, I'm trying to think of who's been nominated before. I know that Andy Ticer and Michael Hudman with the Andrew Michael Restaurant Group, they have been nominated several times for Best Chef in the Southeast category. And so that's kind of where Memphis falls. So let's dive into that category because we had 2 restaurants and 3 chefs because one team was a duo that was nominated.
I love it. Let's do it.
So the first one I'm going to talk about is Blue Honey Bistro. So Blue Honey Bistro opened in 2017 in Germantown, and it's a tiny, tiny restaurant. It is 1,200 square feet. It only has 36 seats. I mean, that is little bitty for a restaurant. But it is a hidden little gem. It is in the shopping center that there's like a Target and there's, like I think there's a Mellow Mushroom Pizza down the road. I mean, it's just like, it's literally tucked away in a shopping center and you walk in the front door and the lighting on this picture does not do this place justice because it is a little jewel box. When it's lit correctly, that you can see in the picture with Drew and Courtney, it's a brighter blue, it's white, everything is pristine. The service is excellent. I have been a fan of this restaurant since I first opened it. Since they first opened it and I first went to eat there. And I am thrilled that Drew Bryan has been nominated for Best Chef in the Southeast region. And I will have to say there are 20 chefs that have been nominated in this category. And this is just great. If you've not been there, he was, he's from Memphis. He went and he worked for a little while after college at Blackberry Farm. He's gone to culinary school. He's worked in a number of places here in Memphis. And back in the mid 2017, around a little before that, he and his wife, Courtney, decided that they wanted to open their own restaurant. They've both been in the industry. And they just created their dream restaurant, and it's small. They love how they have control over everything they can do. And you can really tell it because, as I said, everything is excellent there. Some of my favorite dishes, he does a Faroe Island salmon, and that's a salmon that is imported from, I believe, New Zealand, that is just an excellent salmon. And he does it in he changes his menu often. So how it's served sometimes changes, but recently I had it over a farro, which is a grain, spelled differently than the Faroe Island. But it had I think it had butternut squash in it. I don't know. It was so, so, so good. They have a famous appetizer called mushrooms and toast, which is sauteed mushrooms that he gets from local mushrooms he gets from Bluff City Fungi. And it has a little cream sauce and it's just so flavorful and it's served over sourdough bread. And it just is, it can be a vegetarian entree or it can be split as an appetizer. And I always tell people to save room for dessert because he has a chocolate molten cake on his menu that you may be like, oh, that's been there, that's done there. He has deconstructed it and perfected it. It is literally like the baby molten cake sits on the plate and he makes a homemade marshmallow fluff that he puts on the plate and then he brulees it and then it's served with a salted caramel gelato that they make in-house and it just is, it's so good. So definitely if you go, save room for dessert. Have you been there before?
Yes, I have. And I agree with you. It's very intimate and the food dishes are made with love. And we have enjoyed it. We haven't had a bad meal there ever. I've only eaten there a couple of times. It is a little pricey, but every time I've gone there, it is extraordinarily good. And it's the facade. You don't expect it to be an extraordinary meal, but oh my gosh, it is. I was so glad to see they were nominated, and I thought the first thing I thought was well deserved because it is amazing.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I really love about this year's nominees is these are people that are really not that well known across the city of Memphis. And it's just because they put their head down and they are doing their jobs and they're doing their jobs well. They're not out there doing it for publicity. They're doing it because it's their passion. And for me, that's very exciting that they're getting the recognition that they deserve. Next in the same category of Best Chef for the Southeast region, which I should have looked up what states that includes. It's like Tennessee, Georgia. I think that maybe Kentucky. I don't think it goes as far south as like Louisiana, Mississippi. I think they're in a different category. So it's a number of states, maybe about 5 states that are covered in this category. So next up on the list is Acre Restaurant. And Wally Joe is a name that has been around forever. And in fact, when I sat down with Wally and Andrew Adams, I've known both of them for decades, both from their restaurant Wally Joe's, then in Acre, which they opened in 2011. And I learned so many interesting things about both of them that I didn't know. So first, let's talk about Acre. Acre is in East Memphis. It's off of Perkins Road. It's hidden. It's a little house. It's tucked away. Again, kind of a nondescript thing that you wouldn't know what you were looking for unless you were looking for it. It has a bright yellow door. So if you're ever driving down Perkins, kind of where it bends before it hits between Park and I guess that's Southern. If you notice a little house with a bright yellow door, that's Acre Restaurant. And it is a 70-seat restaurant that opened in 2011. Again, a place where food is excellent, service is excellent, wine list is excellent. It's really, really a great gem of a place to go eat. And they actually, when the weather warms up, they have one of my favorite patio. You can see in this picture, those glass windows behind there is a patio that is got all of these trees around it. It is my favorite patio these days for a restaurant in the city of Memphis because you feel like you're tucked away in a little oasis. So when the weather finally warms up, keep that in mind. But so Wally Joe has been in the food business forever. He and his brother took over his family's business in Cleveland, Mississippi called KC's. And it was an award-winning restaurant. It was recognized nationally. They actually hosted, this is something I didn't know, back in the early 90s, they hosted one of the first James Beard traveling dinners. So James Beard has a series where world-renowned chefs go and travel, and they do these kind of multi-chef, multi-course dinners as a fundraiser for the James Beard Foundation and its mission to educate and support the culinary world. And Wally Joe hosted one of the first ones back in the early 90s down in Cleveland, Mississippi at his restaurant. So the story of Wally Joe and Andrew Adams, I knew went back at least 2 decades. It goes back longer than that. Andrew Adams was from Cleveland too, which this is something I did not know. I thought they just kind of teamed up when Wally came to Memphis. But Andrew was in high school and when that dinner happened, and his mom read it in the newspaper, and he knew that Andrew loved to cook. I guess Andrew said he had a video from when he was like 8 years old of him telling his dad that he wanted to be a chef when he grew up. And his mom said, you should go apply for a job at this place. So Andrew did. And that was in the early mid 1990s. And it created a partnership that has lasted all of these decades. So after high school, Andrew decided to go to culinary school. And after culinary school, he went to work for a couple of people. One was down at Commander's Palace in New Orleans. And that chef, he went to work for him right after he'd won the James Beard Award. There was someone up north somewhere that he went to work for right after that guy had won the James Beard Award. So he actually was trained in restaurants that were known for their excellence in both food and service. And when Wally Joe decided to move to Memphis to open Wally Joe's, which was on Sanderlin, in the space that's now SOB East. It was interim before that. And before that, it was the first place that was a restaurant was Wally Joe's. And he called Andrew, and Andrew joined him on his team as his, I think, chef de cuisine, which is basically, running the kitchen. And Andrew has had that role ever since then. And when they closed Wally Joe's to open Acre, again, he moved over, and the two have been in tandem. Andrew is the one that is in the kitchen all the time, but Wally is very integral into what they do and everything with the restaurant. The two of them sit down together and they devise the menus. They talk about service. They talk about wine lists. They joke that they're kind of like brothers now, and one will have an idea and then the other will finish the idea. Almost like when you see with couples that they kind of can finish each other's sentences. They both think alike about what they want to cook. And it's really a neat and interesting partnership. And again, really well deserved. This one is very long overdue recognition for these two, because everything is always perfect there. And some of my favorite dishes that they have, they have a whole fried bronzino fish that comes to the table all fried, and it has a ponzu dipping sauce, and it is so good. You have to get over the fact that it is a whole fish, but it is one of the best fish dishes in the city of Memphis. I love all of their appetizers. They have a duck fried rice that they do that is that kind of black Thai rice that is tossed with duck confit, and it is so good. Again, nothing I've ever had there I haven't loved. Have you been to that one too?
I have, but it's been a while. My wife Tina went recently, and she went on and on about it, just going on and on that we need to go back, we need to go back. So it's on the list.
Yeah, it's great too. And again, both Blue Honey Bistro and Acre are finer dining restaurants as far as the price points go. Blue Honey Bistro is open for lunch and for dinner. So lunch is a great way to try restaurants like this because the price point is a little bit less than it is at dinner. Acre is only open for dinner. Last on our list is 17 Berkshire, which is, again, another gem in the city of Memphis. This is, again, I love that all these restaurants are tiny, or businesses are tiny. So 17 Berkshire is a bakery in Overton Square that's 1,000 square feet. It's owned by Nuha Abudaher, who is just lovely in everything she does. And they were nominated for Outstanding Bakery. So this is really cool. It wasn't just regional. She was named one of the top 20 bakeries in the entire country. And I think again, such a well-deserved award. She said when I was interviewing her, I have a series of stories that is up on the Daily Memphian right now where I interviewed each one of these nominees and wrote a separate story about them so you can get to know them a little bit better. And when I was interviewing her for that story, she was telling me that, what kind of drives her, she's always loved pretty things. And when you walk into her bakery, you feel that. It feels like you're walking into another world. I say like a French Parisian upscale cafe or something like that, because she's got like everything is like marble and white, and then little bud vases on the tables, and then she's got she's got display cases, and her pastries are, I describe them as French pastries. She says that they're just kind of what she likes to do, but they are beautiful. They're just like works of art. I wish we had some pictures of them to show you. And she also has a whole selection of macarons, and she does a tea service that if you wanted to go and have high tea, she has a whole high tea service that she does. She has children, and so one of the fun things she does is she does kind of whimsical things regarding things that kids love. Like she has a whole Harry Potter extravaganza that she does every year. She also does, at the holidays, she will do things with like a gingerbread decorating workshop. Some of her macarons, instead of just being the little round French cookies, what she'll do is she'll pipe them out to make them be like little teddy bears or hearts or, whatever is the theme that she is doing. So it's really, really a special place. And, the funny thing is she started, she was a nurse and she went to nursing school. And actually she always loved to bake. And when she graduated from nursing school, she bought herself a pink KitchenAid mixer. And that kind of started her love. And that probably actually what kind of kicked off her business, because she started selling cakes and sweet treats to her friends. And then she started selling them as pop-ups online. And then she decided to make the leap and open 17 Berkshire. And where this is located in Overton Square is, I think it's called the Chime Square, if I'm maybe wrong, but basically it's on the back side of Overton Square in that kind of little courtyard. Billy Acres used to be right there next to it. That's where she's located. And she currently, for the past year, has had a pop-up in Saddle Creek that's over there by the Sephora. So So if you're out east, you can pick up her treats there as well.
It sounds amazing, Jennifer. I remember, I know exactly where it is, where people go and they bang the chimes in that back area, that back courtyard area. Her place is right there. I know exactly where that is. Awesome.
Yes. So it's one of these things. I'm so excited for each and every one of these nominees. I think it's a great thing for them. It's a great thing for the city of Memphis to be recognized nationally for people that are just doing really outstanding work. I'm really, really excited, and my fingers are crossed, both fingers. We're saying lots of prayers that I hope all of these end up on the finalist. I think it actually goes from 20. It may go to either like 5 or 6. I hope that all of them make it to the next round. But if not, at least one of them makes it to the next round. So I will keep you posted when those awards get announced in April. But if you want to read more about all of them right now, I do have stories about each one of these places and these chefs that is up on dailymemphian.com at the moment.
Appreciate it. Jennifer Chandler, glad to have you back in the fold. We appreciate you and can't wait to check out more of not only these restaurants, but other great findings and great pickings from your articles and all that you do for Memphis and the Mid-South to make it so tasty for all of us when we go out. Thank you, Jennifer.
Well, it's my honor to share their stories. They're doing all the hard work. I'm having the fun.
Yes, absolutely. Glad to have you back. Take care.
Hopefully you're having a great start to your Tuesday throughout the Mid-South. I'm meteorologist Eric Brill in for meteorologist Patrick Ellis. We are expecting dry weather conditions to be around during the AM hours and even into the early PM hours. Notice by 2 p.m., 40 degrees, but not expecting any showers. It really is after about 3 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That is when those showers will start to approach the Mid-South and eventually move through the Mid-South here, especially between 10 p.m. on Tuesday night into 4 a.m. on Wednesday morning. 41 degrees, the expected high temperature for Memphis, 41 for Selmer, 36 for Brownsville, and 33 for Ripley, Tennessee. Ripley, Mississippi looking to top off at 43, 41 in Corinth, 43 in Oxford, 43 in Clarksdale, and 41 in Tunica. Mostly cloudy skies, dry weather conditions expected really throughout the day here in northern Mississippi. Finally, northeast Arkansas expecting temperatures to have a little bit of a range here, a little bit colder to the north, some lower 30s, while some lower 40s will make a reappearance into Phillips County for Helena, West Helena under mostly cloudy skies. Now, down the road, we do have the winter storm warnings and the winter weather advisories that are in place for all the Mid-South here. Typically, winter storm warnings mean a little more snow, winter weather advisories a little less snow, and I think that's going to be the case here as far as who's within the warning and who's in the advisory. Those areas in pink are in the warning, and everybody else is within the advised areas. These are set to expire here on Wednesday morning, whether it be at 6 a.m. or noon, and if you do get the notifications from the First Alert Weather app here, you will be seeing any sort of new updates that do come about here around the Mid-South, whether it be snow accumulations, warnings, advisories, even if it doesn't pertain to this given storm system. Now, the precipitation type here, we do expect a little bit of a mix to get this started, but we are going to see some colder conditions or colder temperatures start to build in as Tuesday evening turns into Wednesday morning. That will result in that snow line dropping itself down to the south, and everybody will be seeing some snow flying around here for Wednesday morning. When can you start to see these showers approach the Mid-South and move through the Mid-South? Into northeast Arkansas between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m., in the heart of the Mid-South between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m., and off to the east here, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. is more your time frame, and the snow shower activity, it will be around here for a few hours, really about a 12-hour span from the time it gets started until the time it comes to a completion. Futurecast data agrees with pretty much everything noted here. Quiet conditions really till about 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and even then, it really is just northeast Arkansas getting in on the snow action and the shower activity. 6 o'clock in the evening, it's possible you might not even have seen snow showers yet for Memphis, but notice it's not really too far to the north where some of those snow showers will start to engulf, including Dyersburg, Blytheville, Brownsville, over into Ripley, and then the deeper we go into the evening and eventually to the overnight hours, the more these showers will start to spread. By midnight, notice 278 from Clarksdale to Batesville, Oxford, even over to Tupelo. The snow showers are falling here, so we're keeping our fingers crossed we won't have to deal with any sort of frozen precipitation as far as freezing rain goes. And I don't really think that's a big threat here for this given winter weather event. By 5 o'clock in the morning, the majority of the Mid-South is going to be dry except closer to the Tennessee River. And by 8 a.m., this is pretty much all set and done. But notice our temperatures. They will be in the upper teens and lower 20s. When can you expect these showers to come to an end? 2 to 5 a.m. in northeast Arkansas, 3 to 6 o'clock in the morning on Wednesday for Shelby County, into Tipton County, Lauderdale County, even down to the south for Tunica, as well as DeSoto and Tate counties. Finally, off to the east, 5 a.m. to 8 a.m., closer to the Tennessee River. Snow totals out of this have adjusted this a little bit, maybe a little less snow, especially along and south of I-40. A little less moisture looks like it will be in play. Up to the north, Dyersburg, Byfield, Alamo, Ripley, 3 to 6 inches. Just south of that for Covington, Wynn, as well as Arlington towards Lakeland, and even into Millington, about 2 to 4 inches. South of that, 1 to 3 inches, including the city of Memphis, Hernando, Olive Branch, Eads, even into Forest City, West Memphis, and Mariana. South of that, a dusting to 2 inches of snow for Helena, West Helena, Clarksdale, as well as Oxford, Batesville, Ripley, Tennessee, and for Tupelo. Behind this,